interested in what I have to say. Well, I'm glad you're interested in what I have to say because I'm interested in what you have to say. All right. Let's talk about it in the words of MGK. Anybody get that reference? Nope. Yep. Nope. Yep. 5 stars up into his house. Do it. All right, cool. So audio's coming through good over there on the fizz on. All right, cool. We're going to put this on right here. Get a little bit of music on. Just a little bit. Nope. Going to do that. And then audio input capture. Let's see. Turn this down some. Hope everybody's doing well. We'll start talking here. How's the music levels? Can you hear it at all? Too loud, too low? Let me know. So yeah, I figured, so what I wanted to do was what I wanted to do tonight was I wanted to test Meld Studio because everybody kept telling me, oh, you're wrong about that. They added support, blah, blah, blah. I didn't have time to set it up before the stream, unfortunately, because life, husband, father, job, all those things, right? So it is what it is. But anyway, so we're here. Still doing a normal stream, still using 9070 XT. Haven't switched over yet from it. And so what I was thinking about doing was making a video where I talk about some of the most common. Tracy, I'm trying to stream, dude. I like literally. I told my friend I was streaming, and then he calls me. Anyway, so what I was trying to say was, I figured I would make a video where I think, where I go through and just kind of address some of the most common comments I saw on the AMD video, because that video exploded and I'm very grateful for it. Many views, lots of new subs. And then I did the follow-up video with Cyberpunk and I thought, hey, this would be a good time to just kind of address some of the most common reoccurring comments I see, whether if they're good or bad or neutral or whatever. So, but then also I just wanted to stream because it's been a minute since I, streamed, and I'm trying to do at least one stream a week. So anyway, how's everybody doing tonight? FSR 4 for older GPUs. I agree. That is something that, look, love them or hate them. That's something that NVIDIA does really good, right? NVIDIA does a good job at supporting older hardware. Even though like certain things are locked down only to the newest generation of cards, like with the 40 series cards, that was multi-frame generation only. They did not backport that on the 30 series cards. And then with the 50 series cards, you get multi-frame generation, but that is not on the 40 series cards. So they do have certain exclusive things that are only available on the newer cards. But every time they update the model for DLSS, they always backport it down, right? And that's why something like the 2080 Ti can actually use DLSS today in 2026 and actually look good. Thank God it's not using the same model of DLSS that it was using when it first came out in 2018. Am I right? Wow, 2028. Where the heck did I get that from? So anyway, I hope that makes sense. But yes, FSR 4 and older GPUs would be amazing. Let's see. I made it. I'm glad you're here. Just saying. Love it. Afternoon. Hello, Iraq. Hello from Greece. 9070 XT, proud owner, and need some help though. Dude, I want to go to Greece so bad. My wife and I had a vacation plan there many years ago. And then I decided to take that money and I paid off my student loans instead, which was a much better decision. And then my son was born and then COVID hit, so we just never had a chance to go. What help do you need with your 9070 XT? Also, any Harry Potter fans in the chat? Did you guys see the new trailer for that? I think that looks pretty good, me personally. You can download the FSR 4.0.2 innate DLL for 6,000 to 7,000 cards and just put that in the games folder and it will work out of the box as long as the game uses FSR 3.1 plus. That's awesome. That's fantastic. Thank you for that tip. Yeah, I think the bigger issue here is just the fact that there's still so many games that don't use FSR 3.1 plus. Yeah, so that's something that, like it seems like almost like only live service games get the ongoing big updates. Like a lot of single player story driven games a lot of times just don't get those updates. And even in live service, if there's a sequel to it, then the older version doesn't get live service anymore. A prime example is Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War. I mean, that still doesn't have FSR support. Think about that. And that came out in 2020. And people are still playing it. I was just playing it over the weekend with some friends, right? I got tired of waiting for AMD to have FSR 4 support for more games and Redstone, so I bought a 5080. Hey, I understand that. I'm not mad at you. Ancient Gameplays has some really good content on how to force FSR 4. I've seen some of it, not all of it. I need to watch the trailer, but news of this remake shocked me. Like, we're really remaking the films and the TV series. So, as a big Harry Potter fan, personally, I'll take all the Harry Potter I can get as long as it's, accurate to the books. And obviously, some of the casting decisions I know have been controversial. But what I would say about that is not too long ago, my family and I went through all the audiobooks, and you start to remember, because I read them all as a kid through middle school and high school and stuff, but then you just get hooked on watching the movies and you forget how much they left out of the movies. And that's because movies, as long as they can only do so much. So the thing that I like about the TV series is that each season is a book. So, I don't know how many episodes they're putting in each season, but in theory, you can make as many episodes as you want to literally cover every part of the book. Like an episode could be a whole chapter, or one chapter could be a whole episode, right? So that way you can get every little detail, every little nuance, and you don't have to cut so many things out. So from that standpoint, I like it a lot, personally. FSR 4 for Vulcan, FSR 2, there are a lot of those. All right. Did undervote, which I had also to my 6800 XT. Thing is, 1440p 9070 XT. Can't see the full potential. Maybe because it's paired with a 5600X. If I don't know. By the way, no need for FSR for me. Okay. Oh, so the series will be 100% faithful to the books. I didn't say that. I did not say that. I said it has the potential to be more accurate and more faithful because they have more leeway. They have more runtime. However, writers, actors, directors, producers, they can still F all that up. We just got to wait and see. We got to wait and see what it's going to do. But the idea behind it is, hey, all this stuff got cut out because it was movies and we had a limited runtime, right? Yeah, you can do a lot with 2 hours, 2.5 hours, but you can't do everything. So let's make each book a season and maybe make each chapter an episode, right? I think that's kind of the idea behind it. And so that way they can take their time with it. Harry Potter books in French read the Harry Potter books in French, and every time they drew a baguette marquise, a wand, I got hungry. Oh, that's funny. That's funny. So let's see. Still good to know. I only read the first 4 books a long time ago. I think it's a great series, man. And honestly, I thought Hogwarts Legacy was overall a decent game. Although, I'll be honest with Hogwarts Legacy, right? I use it for a lot of benchmarks. I've already beat the game. My wife's beat the game. Hogwarts Legacy is only good because it is Harry Potter related. And if you're a Harry Potter fan, it draws you in. And the environment, they absolutely killed it with the environment. The problem with Hogwarts Legacy is it's about a mile wide and an inch deep, if you get what I'm saying, right? Like, it doesn't get too deep. A lot of the NPCs, or actually all the NPCs, are pretty much just empty characters, right? It's not like a real RPG or anything. But I got to give Avalanche Studios a lot of credit because this was their first big game and it could have been a lot worse. So I give them credit for that. I'm looking forward to part 2 of that. Based on the casting, it won't be worth watching. If you want them to follow the books, they should have started there. RIP AMD. I know a lot of people's had some issues with the casting, and I totally get where that's coming from. But I saw the trailer today, and I was like, okay, for the most part, a few exceptions here and there, but for the most part, I thought it looked pretty good. As a Harry Potter fan, I don't know how you wouldn't watch it, so I'm gonna give it a shot. Now, I say that there are some things that are just so atrocious I won't touch with a 10-foot pole. I'm a huge Halo fan. Love Halo. Will not watch the TV series on it because it's so freaking garbage. I lost interest after Order of the Phoenix and relied on the movies to finish the story for me. I'm more into Lord of the Rings. I like Lord of the Rings as well. I like both. It doesn't have to be either or, but I like both. Yeah. Since I just bought a 5080, I'm giving my wife my 9070 XT and making a build for her. Dude, that's sick. You gonna go with a theme or anything like that, or you going like all white, all black? You gonna put some pink in there, or what are you doing? When playing Hogwarts Legacy, you can feel their love for the original content. Yeah, I definitely agree, man. They definitely put a lot of work into the environment and the atmosphere. If you want to feel like you're at Hogwarts, I mean, they did a good job with it. All right, I'm gonna pull up my notes here. Let me see what I got going on here. Notepad. All right. So some of the comments that I saw that popped up multiple times over. So we'll start addressing comments here in just a second. I like engaging with you guys. Let's see. I heard that 1% lows on frame gen info is different on Radeon versus GeForce multi-frame gen numbers. Not really sure what you mean by that. I'd have to look into it. Speaking of which, I'm getting ready to do, so I got a buddy coming over this weekend. He's going to bring over his 6950 XT. I already have a 7900 XTX and I have a 9070 XT. So I'm going to take the 6950 XT. I'm going to do a 3-way benchmark, probably call the video like testing AMD's 3 best GPUs or whatever. And and what I mean by that is like the best from the last 3 generations. And because 9070 XT is the best this gen, 7900 XTX was the best last gen. Prior to that was 6950 XT. And just do side-by-side comparison so you can see the performance leap each time. The thing with 9070 XT though that makes it weird is that it's an 8 gig cut down from the 7900 XTX. Like, it's better in other aspects, but that one little thing was like, man, I really wish they kept it at 24 gigs. But also at the same time, I mean, how often are you using 24 gigs? So in the 5080, I'll throw shade over there as well too. 16 gigs was just not good for that card, man. But anyway, she wants white and pink. The 9070 is already white, so dude, that's perfect. I'm getting ready to get off of black. I'm getting ready to do an all-white build. It's my first white build in a very long time. And I took my 5090 apart, put a different shell on it, painted it white because I didn't want to mess up the original. And so I'm going to go for like an all-white build there as well. I refuse to buy NVIDIA and support Jensen's BS. I get that entirely. A lot of people feel the same way. As a tech reviewer, unfortunately, I have to... I'm gonna limit myself too much if I take that approach to say I won't touch this, right? Like, you kind of have to touch everything. Even Ancient Gameplays being predominantly an AMD channel. I mean, I don't think there's any doubt about that. Even he has done tons of NVIDIA content, right? You have to, otherwise you just get too limited. I mean, we are niche now by talking about tech, right? So it's like, I'm not going to get on here one day and talk about traveling. I'm not going to get on here and talk about politics or anything like that. But so I'm already niched down talking about tech, but within tech, it's like you want to be careful. You don't want to niche yourself too much because then you back yourself up in a corner, right? Taekwondo, what's up? My boy up in the Chizat. E-Rock, we're at live. Let's go. Hey, I saw your video pop up. Haven't watched it yet, but I'm going to watch it right after the stream, bro. Froggy got a 7900 XTX back today and did a video on it. That card is still a beast. It is definitely still a beast, no doubt. Been a minute since I spoke with him. Need to catch up. Intel Core i9 9900K EVGA RTX 3090. Nice. I'm not going to read all those specs out loud, but yeah, nice. That's a good setup, man. 9900K is dope, dude. Check this out. So Taekwondo's up in the chat. So I bought the 9900K, right? But I didn't have the box, and we did that podcast together, and it's up on the channel. Y'all can watch it. It's the one where the logo is, or the thumbnail has a 2080 Ti and 9900K in it. He's like, dude, I got the box. I'll send it to you. I'm like, dude, no way. So he sent me over the special edition box. So massive shout out to Taekwondo for that. Thanks, bro. I appreciate you, man. But dude, I love this freaking thing, dude. It just looks so cool, man. I'll just set it right there rest of the stream and hang out with me. I do want to do like an OG, like 9900K 2080 Ti build. I got the 2080 Ti. I got the 9900K. I need a motherboard. And then I got to figure out what case I'm going to put it in. So that's like a project I'm working on, but I'm not rushing it. You know what I'm saying? It's just kind of, you know, it'll get done when it gets done type of deal. 5 stars. I don't know what you posted, bro, but the message got deleted. That's not me, by the way. That's YouTube automatically just cutting crap out. So I don't know if you deleted it or if it was a link or something. So yeah. What's the max price premium where you could go for a 5070 Ti over the 9870 XT? Ideally, so what are they? Let me try to remember. So the MSRP, keep me honest, chat. MSRP of 9070 XT was supposed to be $600, right? I know that's a fairy tale, but that's what it was supposed to be, right? 5070 Ti MSRP was supposed to be $750, so that's a $150 difference. So ideally, whenever you're going up the stack and the prices get more and more expensive, within that $150 price difference, I think is reasonable. The moment you hit 200 and more, it's kind of like, do you really want to pay $200 more just because it's NVIDIA? Maybe you do, maybe you don't. That's really only a personal decision you can make. And I'm not trying to cop out with that, but the truth is I do think a lot of people put way too much stock into what reviewers say, or tech reviewers say. Everybody's situation is different, man. Everybody's situation is different, right? So it's like if I'm giving blanket advice over here, well, I live in America, right? I can't tell you what it's like to live in Taiwan or to live in Australia or to live in Canada where the prices are significantly worse, right? So like I can look at numbers on a spreadsheet and be like, oh, well, this number, you know, but I don't really know what it's like to live there, right? Like I don't know what the lived experience is. I don't know how much the food costs when you go out grocery shopping. I don't know what the rent is like. You know what I mean? So, but ideally I would look at the original MSRPs of what they were supposed to be, which I know is a pipe dream at this point, and just try to keep it there. Paying $200, $250 more, $300 more just because it's a different brand, unless that brand has a specific thing that you just gotta have. That's a hard sell, man. Blackheart up with the $20. You did not have to do that. I'm getting ready. Hey, I'm getting ready for work. Hey man, sorry. Yeah, sorry about your call. It's just I was already streaming, so I couldn't I couldn't answer right then. But thank you, man, so much for the 20. You definitely do not have to do that. 5 stars. Let's see. I had that box back in the day, dude. The box is so awesome. Okay. Hey, remember me? I installed a Montech AIO and it works great. 86C full load on the 90. Okay. All right. Yeah. So some of the usernames have changed because of YouTube. So like whatever your username was before, now I just see the @ part of it with all the numbers and crap at the end, which might not have been there before. It might have just been a name and now it has like all the numbers. So I'm like, maybe. So I apologize if I don't fully remember. Also, there's so many more of you than there is of me. All right, 5 stars. I don't know why people are drawing the line in the sand when it comes to NVIDIA, but act like AMD wouldn't do the same thing they did with their CPU business when they caught up. Yeah, I mean, look, man. At the end of the day, bro, it's all about business, right? What people have to keep in mind is that companies like Intel, NVIDIA, AMD, they are publicly traded companies, and by law, they have a fiduciary responsibility to the shareholders, not the consumer. The shareholders. That's how it works in the United States. So by law, and there's court cases on this, you can look it up. If they have to make a decision and it can affect the margins or the profitability or whatever, there are court cases that have set the precedent where the shareholder or where the CEOs have to make the decision that's financially most beneficial for the shareholders. Now, I don't think they need a law or they need a court case to demonstrate that, right? I mean, we all know they want money anyway, so they would probably do that anyway, but it doesn't help that there's a freaking court case that set the precedent for that, and it's been the way ever since. So at the end of the day, man, yeah, I mean, AMD, like, even though they try to be, or in the past, they've tried to be for sure more pro-consumer than Intel or NVIDIA, they've caught up and things have changed. And also the industry is just hella expensive right now. I mean, let's not pretend it's not. Inflation's really bad. You got a war going on right now. Everything's just really bad, bro. So that's going to have, its trickle down effect across the board. And so we can label it however we want, anti-consumer, greedy, whatever. But the fact is things are just hella expensive, and that's going to have an impact. But yes, there's no doubt in my mind. If we woke up tomorrow and AMD magically somehow had a faster GPU than the 5090, they would not be selling that GPU for $700. You know what I mean? That would be well over $1,000. So anyway, just keeping it real with you. Also had the Core i9 10850K Marvel Avengers box. Dude, that's cool. I wish I would have. You should have kept that. That's awesome. That's a collector's piece. Just built a new 9850X 3D build. I have a 4080 Super in it now, but I'm going to give it to my son. Should I get the 5080 or 9070 XT? I mainly play first-person shooter games. Is it worth 400? No. See, that's kind of what I was just talking about, right? So first of all, 5080, 9070 XT are not apt comparisons. 9070 XT is more in line with a 5070 Ti. So it would be like, should I get the 5070 Ti or 9070 XT? The moment you start talking about the 5080, it's like, it's not exactly the best comparison, but also that you're talking about $400 more. At the end of the day, man, like what I would do if I was in your case and like you're really like, hey, you know, what do I need to do here? I would look up the games that you play the most and that you're looking to play, and go watch gameplay benchmarks with the 5080 and look at the gameplay benchmarks with the 9070 XT and ask yourself, okay, to me personally, am I willing to pay $400 more for X amount more performance? The other thing to look out for is I don't know your situation, right? Like, are you going to live stream? Are you going to make videos? You know, all that stuff. And I mean, that video I just dropped with the 30-day challenge with 9070 XT, I proved that given a certain workflow, yes, you can still be a content creator and make all the content. Like I'm making all of this right now with the 9070 XT, but the 9070 XT is not going to work with Adobe, right? No, or I'm sorry, that's not true. It will work with Adobe. I can't test Adobe is what I meant to say. I don't know if it works with Adobe is what I meant to say, because I don't have Adobe. I don't use Adobe. I only use DaVinci Resolve. So I can't speak to Adobe. Maybe somebody else can in the chat. But anyway, yeah. So in Australia, the cheapest 5070 Ti costs 50% more than a 9070 XT. So you can guess which I got. Oh yeah, no doubt about that. Yeah, that's definitely a lot more money, dude. Holy crap. Yeah, and I hate that so much, dude. I hate it for Canada. I hate it for Australia because you guys get royally freaking screwed when it comes to pricing. It's not fair at all. Most of the vacations my wife and I have ever taken have actually been the islands. We've never been to Australia, but like when we went to Hawaii, for example, while we loved being there, we're like, man, why don't we just move here? And you start looking at the cost of living. You're like, this is why we don't move here. It's way too expensive because they have to import everything, you know? So anyway, by the way, I think this is a new record high for the stream. We just hit 51 concurrent viewers. Holy freaking crap. Thank you guys. I've never had that much before. So thank you so much. I have both the 9070 XT and the 5070 Ti, and I love both GPUs. They're both good GPUs. I have both. I actually have all the GPUs. Asus really hooked me up last year, man. I can't complain. They literally sent me a 9060 XT, 9070, 9070 XT, 5060, 5060 Ti, 5070, 5070 Ti, 5080, 5090. And they were supposed to send even more. And then I think I heard like the higher up started, hey, this guy's too small. Why are you sending him all this stuff? So they stopped. So it's been a minute since I've gotten a GPU from Asus, but I can't complain. So anyway, let's see. I built my daughter's 5800X 3D. Great CPU. My wife has it in her PC behind me. Prime 9070 XT. Same one I'm using currently. During our first 9070 XT stream. Only driver issue encountered since then is starting Tiny Tina's Wonderlands. Disabling anti-lag fixed it. Awesome. I'm glad you were able to fix it, bro. Tiny Tina's Wonderlands is also a fun game. I need to finish it. I started it with a buddy of mine and I just never finished it. You know the problem, man? I was telling my wife this earlier. There's not enough time in a day, dude. You know, it's like, wake up, I do my job, and I crush it, and I make progress, and it's like, okay, now I want to do this. Oh, I can't. My kid's getting out of school. Okay, time to be a dad and focus on that. Okay, now we got extracurriculars. Okay, now we got to do dinner. Okay, now it's time to take a bath and get him in bed. Okay, now I'm going to go stream, you know? And it's like you're just trying to squeeze it all in. And then after all this, it's like, now maybe I can game. Well, I'll probably be too tired at that point, right? Let's see. AMD, in my experience, has been more reliable as a gamer, reliability and longevity. I'm happy that's been your experience. I really am. I think everybody should have a great experience. I don't care if it's Intel, AMD, or NVIDIA. If you pay the money for it, you should have a dang good experience. Let's see. EU hardware shopping might be cheaper, but let's see. Finding the best prices is harder. Bought the CPU in Denmark, GPU. Oh, wow. Dang, you have to really shop around, don't you? You guys shop around countries over there the way we shop around states over here. That's crazy. I have a 9070 XT with a 9800X 3D, and the best settings for me is FSR4 native. Anything else looks bad. Gotcha. Okay. Let's see what else we got. 5080 has been around 13 to 1700 in the US. Yeah, that's ridiculous. I can't support the 5080, you know, much higher than $1,000 because 1,000 is supposed to be the MSRP. And I understand Nvidia screwed everybody over because Nvidia said this is the MSRP, but that's for the Founders Edition model that they like to restrict and limit and basically make impossible to get. And then meanwhile, their AIB partners are over there like, dude, we can't match that. And you know we can't match that, Nvidia. You're really putting us in a bad place. Because I don't know if you guys know this, but like all the AIB cards, so MSI, Gigabyte, Asus, whatever, they all have to pay Nvidia a license fee. So they have to give Nvidia their share before they can even put the card out there. So there's just no way those cards can really hit $1,000. And then when you start seeing AIB models hit the MSRP, sometimes you'll get lucky and get a really good card at MSRP, but most of the times I have to recommend be very weary of that. Be incredibly weary of that. Just because it's like, okay, why is it so cheap, right? Like, what am I giving up here? And it might be they used a cheaper thermal paste, or maybe the fans are not as good, or maybe the back plate's not as good. Like, there's always a trade-off there. Just keep that in mind. Okay, thank you. Okay, for those with a 9800X 3D, what compelled you to buy that CPU? Well, I would say it depends on what they came from, first of all. But secondly, I mean, pretty much every tech YouTuber out there for the longest time said the 9800X 3D is the best gaming CPU. And for the average consumer, if they don't do their own research or whatever, they're going to hear that, believe that, and buy into it. I want the best. I want the best. And now they're like, 9850X 3D, which I don't know if you guys saw it. I did a quick video the day the 9850X 3D was announced, and I'm like, bro, this is not going to be worth it. It's a 3% improvement. Even AMD in their own charts is telling you it's a 3% improvement. I don't really know why they made that CPU. I'm just going to keep it real, but whatever, it's there. But yeah, I mean, if you're buying a new CPU and you want a 9800X 3D, I guess pay the extra few bucks, however much it is, because I think here in the States it's not that much more expensive, and get the 9850X 3D just because. But I mean, that's definitely a hard sell. So anyway, hard working paying off in the real time. Yep. Let's see. Hard work paying off in real time. Oh, thank you, man. Yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah, absolutely. Took me a minute for that to register. I'm still on the 7800X 3D. I had the 7800X 3D at one point. I actually had two at one point. I don't have either one now. I gave them away to friends or put them in builds or whatever. Okay, you guys are talking about that. I'm going to England in July to visit my in-laws. Plan on checking out the tech pricing. Cool. I really want to travel more. I definitely want to go over to England and stuff like that. This is my first NVIDIA card. I only had AMD cards since my first build in 2022. I have a thing for the underdog. Well, NVIDIA is definitely not the underdog. Which NVIDIA card do you have again? I put AMD in all the ones I sell because they're more stable than NVIDIA drivers. That's very interesting. I've also heard people say the exact opposite whenever they sell PCs. So that's very interesting. I know he's probably not in here right now, Taekwondo, but I want to get Taekwondo and Danny, like instead of doing the podcast, I'd like to do a live format and have you guys involved, and then we just all chat, and you can chat to all three of us at the same time. How does that sound to you guys? Is that something you're interested in? Also, I need to know more video ideas. Like, tell me what you guys are interested in. Because obviously things are going really great right now with the AMD content. And I want to keep that up if that's what you guys want. But also, like, I know there's people that in my audience that use NVIDIA, and I have a ton of NVIDIA cards to cover. And also we could do some CPU and motherboard stuff as well. And I do have some motherboards I need to talk about on the channel as well, which are AMD motherboards. Nice. That's the reason I bought it, for DLSS, RT, and path tracing. Nice, nice. If I missed your comment, I apologize. You guys are really starting to outnumber me, but that's good. I'm not complaining. Right? NVIDIA has yet another hot... Yep. I think that's 2 in the same month is what I saw earlier. I'd be interested. That sounds good. Okay, awesome. Yeah. I told him I want to get him on here. It's just, it's a problem. Like, you got to line up the schedule and everybody's got to be ready and stuff. I mean, more than likely it'd end up being like a Friday evening or Saturday or something like that if we were able to make it happen. The coolest thing about the 9850X3D is undervolting it. I used it for my first IT build, and it's kind of the reverse of overclocking the 9800X3D, so way lower temps. Nice. I got the 9070XT for like 290-ish USD. Wait, what? I got the 9070XT. No, that's the 9700X. I'm sorry, I could not read that. It was too small on my screen. I was like, did you just get a 9070XT for $290? Like, what? It's crazy, dude. Content creators usually highlight RT features during product reviews, but during live streams, podcasts, many seem to not care or not, worth the performance. Yeah. So there's two aspects behind that. So I'll tell you what happens behind the scenes with content creators. If you guys want to know the secret sauce, I will share. I will spill all the beans. All right, it's like this. So there's two aspects of it, right? Number one, the bigger your audience grows, the more data points you start to get, right? And then you start reading through comments. You can't possibly see them all. It's just too many, right? But you start seeing comments, and you kind of, when you see the same comment over and over, you're like, okay, people must really want more DLSS content. Oh, people must really want more ray tracing content, right? So that's one data point. The other data point is a content creator will put a video out, and then on their dashboard, it'll tell them, hey, this is good. It's a rank 1 out of 10. Rank 1 out of 10 is actually the best you can get, in case you didn't know that. And then literally YouTube shoots off confetti and fireworks inside the I'm not making this up. Like inside the dashboard, when you get a rank 1 out of 10, YouTube has a confetti animation that will pop over your video. Boom, 1 out of 10. You're killing it. Do this. Do more of this. Keep this up is what they're telling you, right? In the moment you're like, well, I want to be a creator and do something different. They're like 10 out of 10, 9 out of 10. Nope. And they even give you messages. Like, YouTube will beat you over the head, dude. Like, they literally are like, your audience is not interested, blah, blah, blah. Fewer subscribers are showing interest in this. That's how so that's another data point, right? The final data point, though, for reviewers are the companies they work with. Because most of the time when the GPUs come over, the CPUs come over, they're coming over. What you have to understand is they're coming over with reviewers guides. Now, some companies are like, hey, here's a reviewer's guide, do your thing, and they dip out and you don't hear from them again. Some companies are very, very hands-on with their reviewers guides. Like, they want you to hop in calls and do private meetings, and they take you through the reviewers guide, and they start saying, now, what we're offering with our product is blah, blah, blah. And if you ever look at a tech reviewer whenever a new product drops, if you think that reviewer just magically knows all that stuff because they're so smart and they got this extensive testing, no, that's not what's happening, bro. What's happening is they're getting the product. Take a GPU. They'll get the GPU on a good review. They'll get the GPU like a week in advance. On a bad review, they might get it 2 days in advance. But there's that handy dandy reviewers guide that says this is what we're trying to sell with this particular model. And then it's up to the reviewer to test and verify those things, but also decide if they even want to mention those things or not. And then you get into the game of, well, if I oversell it, it sounds like I'm marketing for the company, but then if I undersell it, then the company might not work with me anymore. Every reviewer feels that pressure, regardless of size, unless you get to a point to where you're like Linus or GN or Hardware Unbox, and then you make so much money. If they put you on the restrictions list and they won't give you the product anymore, then you can just go buy it yourself, which has happened to Hardware Unbox. But the majority of your reviewers, here's what you have to understand, guys. The majority of your reviewers will not do that. The majority of your reviewers cannot afford to go and buy all the hardware. Daniel Owen, never spoken to the man, don't have anything against him, but I can tell you right now, he's not big enough to go buy all his hardware. I can already tell you he's not, right? So he's going to be somebody where he has to rely on them providing him samples. PC centric, he's large, but also he really, like, I've seen him like make his videos live, and I've been in the live stream when the video's premiering, and I've seen people complain about the DLSS part. They're like, why are you doing DLSS? We told you we want to see you native. And I'm like, I know why I did DLSS, because NVIDIA said if you want the card, you have to show DLSS. That's how the game is played, guys. So it's like, basically, again, some reviewers are so large, they do what they want and they get away with it because they can afford to. But most reviewers cannot do that. So then it's like, it's up to the reviewer to figure out, okay, how do I want to handle this, right? And a lot of times that's why my videos are so long too, is because I'm like, okay, I'll play ball. I'll do what you want, but I'm also going to do what my audience wants, right? So I'll mention the little thing you want me to mention, but then I'm going to go super deep on here and really focus on the things. And that's why most of my benchmarks are still they're like all native rasterization. And there might be one DLSS benchmark at the very end, right? And yes, I've gotten some negative feedback for that from the companies, but I'm like, guys, look, I'm not going to fill my video full of DLSS stuff when people don't want that, right? Anyway, sorry, there's a little bit of a rant there. And let me change over the music. There we go. And do that. I'm going to try and pick up a 270K Plus tomorrow. That's going to be an amazing value. Dude, the 270K Plus, I saw the reviews on that. That actually looks like a really good value, man. So it's coming in. It's faster than a 285K. Thank God. It's even faster than a 9700X. That's pretty good, dude. One day my gaming channel will flip to reviewing. Cool. Cool stuff. Sounds good. Is 6800 XT still a beast in 2026? I don't know if I'd call it a beast, but it's still usable. 7800 X3D, 48 gigabytes, CL30, 6400, nice, 4080 Super. I refuse to get ripped off by 5090's current price. Bro, if Asus didn't send me a 5090, I probably wouldn't have one. Or if I would have one, then it would have been because I sold my 4090 and put some money into to get a 5090. But yeah, these Halo products, the prices are getting too stupid, man. I mean, within the last few years alone, we went from barely having even one GPU that was at $1,000 to now like almost every GPU that's worth buying is close to $1,000 or more. And in the case of the 5090, it's over two to $3 grand. It's freaking stupid, man. Hello, what do you mean by AMD comments? Are you talking about review on it? Talking about review on AMD GPUs. You done? Yes. Yes. Community comments is what I want to talk about tonight. Right now, I'm enjoying talking to you guys, but I got a list. Don't worry. We'll talk about the list here in a second. Companies like Apple, what is that? Or Synology, don't want reviewers' opinion. They only want their reach. Yeah, absolutely. Guys, please hit the like, share, and hey, I appreciate that. Thank you very much. I appreciate you writing that. My build now is a 9800X3D, 64 gigabytes. Nice, nice, nice. 5080 when it arrives home. Board is the X670E. Nice. Crosshair Hero. That's a good board, dude. That's a good board. That's a really good board. That's a really good board. They do what they want them. Don't get a GPU next time and whine about it. They do what they want, then don't get a GPU. The next time, whine about it. Oh yeah, I've seen that happen too. Yeah, no problem. The new 4K at this point, we are pushing. Yeah, prices are ridiculous, bro. Absolutely ridiculous. I would never buy a 90 class GPU over 600 watt. Yeah, this 12 volt high power connector thing, dude. It's a scary thing, dude. I mean, the fact that, you know, before it was easy to be like, oh, NVIDIA, blah, blah, blah. But the fact that there's even one AMD card that has it and it's already had 2 documented cases of melting, you know this connector is a problem. Like, we all know this connector is a problem, right? Sucks, dude. Remember when everyone thought $1,000 was too much? Yes, I do. I do remember that. And look at us now. I wish I could recommend AMD over NVIDIA, but my experience even just a year ago haven't been great. 6800 XT was the best of the box, but that was a few. Yeah, I mean, here's the thing about it too, right? I mean, everyone's experience is going to be completely different, right? And a lot of that too comes down to other. So, okay, you have different AIB models that make their own version of the card you're buying. And they're going to play with the clock speeds out the box. So you might get one that clocks it a little bit too aggressively, which, you know, causes the card to crash a little more, or causes the card to have a little bit more coil whine or run a little bit hotter. And then sometimes we're guilty of being like, NVIDIA sucks or AMD sucks because this AIB did this one thing. When really all you need to do is just get a different AIB, and now the experience is a lot better. That's a possibility, okay? I'm guilty of falling into that trap with the 7900 XTX. My 7900 XTX review leading up to it, I was making a lot of content talking about how pumped I was for it and all the expectations I had, and I was starting to get some traction. And then I went to Micro Center and I bought it the day it came out, and I actually got there too late. The line was way too long. They had 70 cards, 35 XTs, 35 XTXs, and I did not want an XT. And so I literally went to the front of the line, paid somebody $100 to cut in line with them. And they gave me their spot for $100. And then I was able to buy the XTX and come home and review it. And unfortunately, I gave it a bad review. But check this out. The only models they had were the reference model designs, which you can go back and look at the original Gamers Nexus video of the 7900 XTX. And even he was like, dude, this thing's got some problems. It sounds awful. The coil whine's like the worst I've ever heard. Sure enough, I brought it home and there were some other people in line with me who got it as well. And we were texting back and forth. And they were like, dude, is your card like super loud? I'm like, bro, my card is super loud, right? So I did my review and everything. And then I was getting ready to return it, but I listed it on Facebook Marketplace. I did not price gouge it. I listed it for what I paid for plus the $100 to cut in line. The guy that was standing behind me at the very back who did not get the card saw my post on Facebook Marketplace, said, hey man, I'll meet you at Micro Center. I'll pay you exactly what you paid for it plus the 100. I said, all right. So I literally made all my money back. So that worked out great for me. But that was a prime example of the model of the card. I mean, obviously the drivers got better over time, but that was a clear example of the reference design is a really bad design for that card. Meanwhile, I now have the Sapphire Nitro Plus back there, 7900 XTX. That card's phenomenal. So, you know, I mean, so sometimes that's a factor too, right? Let's see. All right. Let's see. Yep. Okay. 5070 or 9070 both are, what is that? 40K PHP brand new, which is better, or should I get a 4070 Ti used? I think, I'm not sure from the seller, but okay. All right. Forgive me. I don't know what PHP is, but okay. So you're in a different country. I'm taking it. Yeah, I mean, in that case, man, just look at what you're going to be interested in. I mean, like, just going to keep it real with you, right? If you're interested in ray tracing, the 5070 is technically going to have better ray tracing, but it's a 5070, so it's not the best at ray tracing, and you're limited to 12 gigabytes of VRAM. So you're going to get that extra VRAM if you go with a 9070. So then does VRAM mean more to you? So those are just things you have to figure out, see what you want to do. Open box Hero Z890 for like $250 on Newegg. Just worried someone might have burned something. Well, you could always buy it and return it if it doesn't work out. I bought an open... no, I take that back. It wasn't open box. It was actually just a really good sale. So never mind. I take that back. But my experience from Newegg, like, I know Newegg's gotten a lot of crap, but I've only purchased from Newegg like 3 or 4 times ever. But it's all been super positive. So that's my very, very limited experience. Asus Tough Gaming B850. Cool. Bitcoin mining changed everything. If you are willing to pay $2,000 for a 3090, you're willing to yeah, that's very true. There's a lot of truth in that. Absolutely. Lek up in the chat. Haven't seen you in a minute, man. I'm still happy with my 7900 XT. Mostly. Okay. When I was undecided between 5070 Ti, 9070 XT, firefighters woke me up at night because my neighbor's house was burning. Took it as a sign. Oh my goodness. Wow. I'm so sorry for your neighbor, dude. Man, my house catching on fire is one of my biggest fears, dude. Can I just be honest with you guys? That's one of my biggest fears. Awesome. I just met your channel probably a week ago and love the effort you put on this. I have yeah, what's your question? Let me know. I love software adrenaline. So easy, user friendly. Another reason it made it easy. Yeah, a lot of people do love the Adrenaline software. I mean, there's obviously some haters too, but you're going to get that with any product. I've been so happy with my Reaper. Dude, the Reaper cards are awesome. Dude, they are awesome. I see them at Micro Center all the time. Those cards look great, dude. Let's see. Man, I swapped my 3090 for a 9070 XT. Keep 200 US in my pocket. And I have terrible aliasing and shimmering in every single game. Already tried 50. What? That's crazy. Shimmering. Well, the obvious thing is, you know, the driver installs, right? So like, did you do like a factory reset on the initial driver install? Did you attempt to do DDU? We'll talk about that here in a second, because that was one of the comments. Did DDU? We'll talk about that. And unfortunately, it's very possible that you just got a card that might have bad capacitors, or it might be failing or something. It's unlikely, but it's possible for sure. And then, of course, you have to try all the normal things too, right? Check your cables. Make sure your cables don't have any tears in them or anything like that. Also, sometimes a fresh Windows install is the best. NVIDIA, this was 2 months ago, 3 months ago, just a couple of months ago, NVIDIA released a driver. And no, I'm sorry, not NVIDIA. I take that back. Windows put out a Windows update. And it literally made people's screens like flicker, shimmer, crash, go black. And then Microsoft put out an update saying, hey, you can roll back the Windows update. So it's very possible, too, that a Windows update is screwing you over. So I just say, dude, do a fresh Windows install and then install your drivers. And if you're still having all the shimmering and flickering, then it's time to get rid of the card or send it in for RMA. Hot take. I like the 12-volt connector. From a cable management perspective, it's great, but I don't trust the power. But I really hate the aesthetic of the 8 pins. So I see where you're coming from because you have one connector to plug in as opposed to 2 or 3 cables. I get that. It's dangerous. It's caused so many problems. And if you don't have an official cable and you're using the adapter, you want to talk about a cable management nightmare. That adapter is hideous, bro. Absolutely hideous. But I do understand where you're coming from when you're talking about, like, when you're just talking about the, from cable management. I get that entirely. That's why, like, I'm really excited for the upcoming Asus motherboard and AIO because they have that connector on there now where there's no cables on the AIO. Like, everything's built into that connector. So as soon as it, like, on one hand, it's not great because it's exclusive, right, to Asus. So that, from a consumer standpoint, that's limiting your options. On the other hand, it's like, okay, at least the technology exists. It's now out there on the market. And it's possible to get an AIO that doesn't have any cables on it, which, if you want to talk about a clean look, you get that and you do like a back connect motherboard. You do like a BTF GPU or something like that, bro. You got like no cables at all in the front. Crazy, right? It's crazy what we're heading towards. I have a Sapphire Nitro 9070 XT, 6 months using 16 pin with MSI. Don't have any problems. Awesome. I'm very happy to hear that. Snap, guys, we just hit a new record, 61 live. Never had that before. Dude, if this thing hits 100, I'll freak out, but I don't think that's going to happen. But thank you guys so much for the 61 people actively watching. I'm trying to engage with you guys and talk, but also I need to get over to this list and start talking about some of these comments I got. Yes, sir, did everything. That's unfortunate. So what I would do at that point, okay, if you truly have done like a fresh Windows install, a fresh driver install, your cables are good, everything's plugged in and seated properly, and you're still having all those issues, I'd contact AMD support and say, hey, can I RMA my card, or do you have any other troubleshooting tips? At this point, that's about all you can do unless somebody in the chat has another piece of advice. Let's see. Okay, you guys are all talking to him about that. XFX and Sapphire tend to have bomb-proof reliability on the AMD side of things. I've never owned an XFX, but I've heard phenomenal things about them, right? Brother, what about DP 2.1 on a 9070 XT if paired with 540 hertz, 1440p? DSC necessary, and what about tab and input lag? I'm an esports player that couldn't afford a 5070 Ti. So, yeah, I mean, if your monitor supports DP 2.1 and your GPU supports it and you have a certified cable, then yeah, use it for sure. I mean, go for it. The display stream compression thing, I don't worry about that because even now there's very few products that can truly offer you an experience where you don't have any display stream compression. But it was one of the very rare times I actually spoke with Asus behind the scenes. And they were talking about sending over a monitor at one point. We didn't do the deal. We didn't work it out. But at one point, I was in a call with Asus and we were talking about the monitor. And this particular monitor, the main selling point of it was the fact that it didn't have any display stream compression, 2.1. It was like, all the super nerdy, great technical things, right? And even the rep was like, I don't know about you, bro. He's like, but I've looked at these screens multiple times. I can't really tell a difference in today's games, in today's market with display stream compression on or off or whatever. So my big thing there, buddy, would be look at the price, right? If it's going to cost you a lot more to not have DSC or whatever, then I would just get the cheaper option. My system currently has DSC. Doesn't bother me at all. I think everything looks phenomenal. And 99% of everybody else in the community also has that as well. Let's see. I've run on and off over the years. My first AMD card was a Gigabyte Vega 56 and it would black screen. Yeah, that's back when AMD was really on the struggle bus. I set my TDR delay in the registry and it seemed to fix it. Okay, or a driver update. Okay. I change every single setting in Adrenaline, clean. Okay, yeah, you guys are still talking about that. I hope you get your system fixed, man. Make sure resolution yep. I appreciate you guys trying to help them in the chat. That's really nice of you. I love the 20 gigs of VRAM. Yes. Yeah, that's a nice little number, right? I think the 5080 should have done that. I think the 5080 should have 20 gigs of VRAM, just like the 7900 XT. And the fact that it doesn't, in my opinion, is stupid. Let's see. Let's see. Let me try that. For all my issues with 7900 that I consistent, at least responds quickly and like, yep. Okay, let's see. Think of XFX. I struggle to say that. And EVGA for AMD. They only make AMD GPUs. Gotcha. Yeah. I was kind of surprised whenever EVGA decided to dip out the market. I was kind of surprised that they just said bye to everything. Like at first they alluded to the fact that they were going to stay in the market. And then it just, they just kind of dipped out. Also, it would have been cool to see EVGA go to AMD route, but I guess they decided not to do it. I wish AMD RX 7600 had for Redstone. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with Redstone, man. I really don't. I always thought the 5090 and 90 class cards in general should have at least two 12-volt connectors. Yeah, so I got a guy in my community who's convinced that the problem with the 12-volt connector is simply load balancing. It's not that it's like a wiring issue or a connection issue, is that it's load balancing. And what's happening is that the power, when you're getting your power spikes, right, between the PSU to the GPU, back and forth or whatever, his theory is that it's not properly load balancing. So part of the cable gets more of the juice than the other parts of the cable. This isn't super technical. Okay. I don't work in like electrician stuff or whatever, but like his theory is basically part of the cable is being improperly balanced with the other side of the cable. So whether too much juice is going on one side and one wire versus another, and that's causing it. I don't know what the truth is. All I know is there's a lot of freaking problems with it and they need to figure it out. 7900 XTX owner over here since launch, been rock solid. That's awesome. I'm happy to hear that. All right. So want to address a couple of things, right? So first things first. These two comments kind of go hand in hand, right? So talking about AMD comments, right, on the video, right? So these two comments kind of go hand in hand. You're an AMD hater. You're an NVIDIA shill. You're an NVIDIA hater. You're an AMD shill, right? You get both, right? You get both, and they're all kind of just mixed in, right? So let's talk about that, right? Okay, so here's what's happening. Unfortunately, on the internet and our TikTok culture world with brain rot and all of that crap, most people do not watch the entirety of the video. Most people don't even watch the video. They'll listen to it in the background while they clean in their room or something like that. And then for people that are watching the video, they're putting it on 2x the speed and fast forwarding through, you know. Some of my own people in my Patreon that are paying me monthly and stuff, they've even told me, it's like, yeah, I watch your videos on 2x the speed, just trying to get through it, right? People don't know how to just sit and enjoy the content anymore. I went to a movie and I was watching a movie. When I go to the movie, I like to be immersed. I'm like, hey, I paid good money to be here. I put my phone in my pocket. Let's lock in, baby. That's where I'm at, right? And I'll look over, and before the movie even has a chance to really hook you in with the plot, I've seen a father and his two kids just sitting there on their phones. And that's why Netflix has this whole thing about second screen viewing now, where all the new material, whether if it's TVs or movies or whatever, they have to repeat the plot twice. Matt Damon, Ben Affleck, they've already confirmed this on the Joe Rogan podcast. You can go check that out. But the point that I'm making is that we seriously live in a world where people just do not have attention spans. So because of that, people don't watch the full video. They only watch parts of it, or they only watch up to a part that they disagree with, and then they write a hateful comment and they dip out. So what's happening in the AMD video that I put out is that people are watching up to a point. So if they're coming from like a super AMD fanboy perspective, they're watching up to a point to where I said something, hey, this didn't go right for me. Oh, well, you did this wrong, and this is why you're stupid, and blah, 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 blah. And then they don't watch the rest of the video. They don't look at all the other things that I said about AMD that are positive. And if they're coming at it from a hardcore, like NVIDIA fanboy standpoint, then they keep watching all through this didn't go well for me, this was bad or whatever. And then the moment I'm like, but AMD did a really good job here. Then they rush to the comments, you're just an AMD shill, AMD's garbage. I took that same video that blew up on YouTube, by the way. Still climbing. I took that same video. I linked it over on X. I'm a nobody on X. Like, I don't have any following at all. I'm a nobody over there. But if you're on X and if you want to follow me, come over to X and follow me. It's just at eRockOnTech. Shout out to 70 viewers. Thank you guys so much. Holy crap. We've never had this much before. Wow. Thank you. But anyway, I put that same video on X. I did not get much engagement on it, but I got 2 comments, and both comments were just there to tell me how bad AMD is. You know, they did not watch the video. They did not even try to see what the purpose of the video was, right? But because it was me doing an AMD 30-day challenge and sharing my experience, all they needed to know was, bro's using AMD, you suck. Bro's using AMD, AMD sucks, that card sucks. That's pretty much what happened. That's pretty much what happened. And dude, when I left console gaming and I came to the PC space, I was so grateful to get into an objective-based community, right? Where we didn't have to fanboy for crap. Boy, was I wrong. Holy crap. The amount of grown man out here simping over, you know, brands and junk. It's kind of pathetic. So those are the first 2 comments I wanted to address. I'm not an AMD fanboy. I'm not an NVIDIA fanboy. I'm a tech enthusiast. I use it all, and I share my experience as fairly and as objectively as I possibly can. And if I make a mistake, I correct it by updating pinned comments, making community posts, going live and talking to you straight up, and even making follow-up videos. Check out the Cyberpunk 2077 video that I did right after that AMD video, talking about some of the testing results that went wrong in the first video. And that's the way I do it. It has nothing to do with being a fanboy. It has everything to do with being objectively and factually correct and as honorable as I possibly can. So that's where that's at. Let me catch up on chat before we talk about the next comment. All right, so let's see. Hello, how are you doing? Mobile Decay, welcome to the chat. Not the fanboys. It's always the fanboys. It's always the fanboys. Idiots will be idiots on the internet. Haters gonna hate. So freaking true. I wouldn't worry about it too much. I'm not worried about it. I'm really not. I've grown thick skin over the last few years doing YouTube. When I address things, it's not that I'm over here like stressing about it or whatever. It just has to do with the fact that I'm like, some people actually think that. And other people who are going to come here and who have never heard me speak before, they're going to see that comment and they might find validity in that. And I want to say my piece to it. Because I think sometimes one of the worst things, obviously sometimes one of the best things you can do is not address something. But also sometimes you need to address stuff. You can't just let it float. So anyway, I watch all your videos at normal speed and not as background. I appreciate that. Thank you, Blackheart. You're awesome. Just get whichever is cheaper. In the end, let's not make religion out of GPUs. So true. Just buy what the best value. Absolutely. If you get a deal, good. Yeah, for sure, dude. It's all about that money and saving you money and getting the best value proposition for you. Maybe you prefer AMD, but maybe on this particular day you walked into the retail store and that 5070 Ti was open box and for some reason $200 off. You know, maybe you just had to buy it. That's how I found you, that video. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Yeah, I think a lot of recent people are finding me through that video, which I'm grateful for. Absolutely. So thank you guys so much. You're just an AMD shield. Absolutely. You got me there. You got me there. Just followed you on X. Thank you for the follow. I appreciate it. Hi, everyone. I definitely agree with you, E-Rock. This is so much in my background. Brainless idiots glued to their phones, even when already in the movie. Yeah, it's bad, dude. It's bad out there. I heard AMD was for the... You know, look, I can't help but to laugh, right? Anytime I hear somebody like, the poors... Also, the amount of Andrew Tate comments I get, dude, I get so many Andrew Tate's comments all the time. And it makes me want to be like, you're just poor. Because that's what he says, you know. But anytime I read the poors or hear somebody say the poors, I laugh, dude. I laugh so hard every freaking time, man. It's just stupid. It's so funny. The poors, you're poor. The Matrix. Anyway, I got to stop. Okay. But I know you from back at the generation shift. You went from Intel to AMD, back to Intel, and then back to AMD, and then from NVIDIA to AMD. And then, yeah, dude, you have tried to. I did. Yeah, man. I mean, it's just, you got to bounce back and forth, man. Like, I got no problem with people that are just like, hey, I want to be an AMD only channel, or I want to be an NVIDIA only channel. The challenge with that, though, is that you're already niching yourself down to tech, right? Like, you can't just go, like, you can't just start making content on fashion design and men's cologne and stuff and expect it to perform the same way, because you haven't built an audience on that stuff, right? You built an audience on tech, so you have to talk about tech. But now that you're in the tech space, don't limit yourself any further than you have to limit yourself. And so anyway, and I think Ancient Gameplays, again, I've never spoken to the guy, and don't really have anything to say except just watching from the outside in. Even him being a primary AMD channel, which I think we can all agree on that, he's even, you know, gone off and done NVIDIA stuff because he realizes there's value there, and there might be people looking for his expertise and the way that he tackles videos, but they need that same tackling and that same skill set and that same information, but they just need it on Intel, or they just need it on NVIDIA, right? So that's a factor too, right? People are safe behind the screens. Easy to talk trash. Oh, 1,000%. Let me tell you this too, not to get too into it, but I had some people in the comments arguing with me over something, making claims about stuff. And so I started applying pressure. Most of them never responded to me. One guy started responding to me. So we went back and forth for a bit. And then finally I wrote this like long, like novel. And I asked some very point blank questions. Are you going to tell me this? Are you not going to admit to that? A couple hours go by. He writes me back the most drunk comment I've ever read in my life. And it's basically along the lines of like camel case, where some of the characters were uppercase, some of the characters were lowercase. And then he was just like, you know what, man, you're right. I didn't mean any disrespect, and I'm super drunk right now, blah, blah. I'm like, dude, really? Really? What I realized from that interaction is that cookies crumble. If you buy a cookie, you take it out the pack, and if you put some pressure on it, it will crumble every single time. And that's what haters are in the comment section. You apply a little bit of pressure, they're going to crumble every time. And so anyway, yeah, I don't I don't let it bother me, but sometimes it is worth addressing. These people out here think that a company has their best interest. The company only has the shareholders' interest at heart, not the consumer's interest. They have a fiduciary responsibility to the shareholder. That's how this stuff works. Fiduciary responsibility. Is 9060 XT good for streaming in terms of quality? I'm considering it. Short answer is yes. It has an AV1 encoder, just like the 9070 XT. You can use it just like I'm using it right now. This is the type of quality you can expect with an AV1 encoder, whether if it's on NVIDIA, Intel, or AMD. The big thing there is you got to get your stream settings right. Make sure they're plugged in perfectly in OBS or whatever your streaming software is. Obviously, have a good camera setup. I'm using a mirrorless camera. It's the Canon M200. Cookies. Don't worry. I'm not going to do a Pokemon and try to sell you guys cookies. Don't worry about that. Facts. I found you on your switch from Intel video. Was super viral. I was like 9 months late and been watching you. I appreciate it. Yeah, dude, that video did well, dude. I was able to link up with Danny Z from that. We've been cool ever since. And I was able to link up with Tech Yes City from that. Even older machines can run games fine as long as you're reasonable with your settings. Absolutely. 1,000%. Gotta head to bed. Hey, no problem. Thanks, bro, for kicking it. I appreciate you, man. Have a great night, everyone. Thanks for hanging out. Too bad we had no comment section in the old days. Yeah. Matrix nerd. Let's see. I live in the Philippines. Most NVIDIA 5060 Ti 16 gig are out of stock, but there are tons of 9060 XTs. Get a 9060 XT. You'll be fine, bro. You are poor in the PC space is dumb. Anyone that can buy a $500 card instead of a console for $500 has more money than the average person. That, or they're just willing to go into debt, which is not something I support. But I've had a few of those people in my community. I've had a few people come to my community, like in Discord and stuff, and literally tell everybody, hey, I just decided to finance this GPU, or I'm renting this GPU. And I'm just like, buddy, like, I don't think that's the best thing to do. But I'm not a finance channel. I'm not here to tell you how to use your money. I always watch your content on regular speed. Thank you, Real Tech. Real Tech Greek. You are awesome for that. Best value for you. I sacrificed my 1% lows to my 9070 deck. What do you mean? Like you're not happy with your 1% lows? Is that what you mean? I pray to AMD, LOL. I have a 5800X3D with 9070 XT, X570. Okay. Playing either 1440p for, okay. All right. Look, I'm gonna keep it real with you guys. 1440p is where it's at. Look, if I was starting over right now and you asked me what I would do, I would either buy a 9070 XT or a 5070 Ti, and I would get a 1440p OLED monitor, and I would either get a 9800X3D, or I would get the new 270K Plus coming out, and I'd call it a day. That's what I would do. Going to 4K is where you start to have all your limitations. This is where you have to start relying on frame gen and DLSS. This is where you have to start buying the Halo products that cost stupid amounts of money. I think our gaming tech space went to ray tracing too soon, and we went to 4K too soon. 1000%. We just kind of shoehorned in 1440p, barely gave it any attention, and went straight to 4K. And it's all because of the console market, because they were trying to push 4K with Xbox back in the day, Xbox One. Like, bro, ain't nobody care about your rinky-dinky upscaled 4K resolution running at 30 FPS, okay? And trust me, I know, because I went to 2 midnight releases for Xbox One. I got the day one Xbox One, and then I got the Xbox One X. And I'm like, I would happily play this at 1440p if it meant getting 60 FPS. And then, anyway, that's why PC's the GOAT. Let's see. Mary, all right. Many spend too much on GPUs, but forget about monitors. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I think 1440p OLED monitors, I think that's where it's at right now, and almost nobody's freaking talking about it, dude. If anyone thinks gaming is expensive, wait until your hobby. Gun collecting, cars, boats, all that stuff is way more expensive. Absolutely. 4K so overrated. Definitely agree. True. I own a few GPUs here in Alaska. Dude, that's so cool. You're in Alaska. We're thinking about taking an Alaskan cruise this summer. Alaska's so beautiful, man. RT's overrated. Also agree. And that's partially because it's not always implemented properly. Going back to what we talked about earlier in the stream, guys, Hogwarts Legacy. I like Hogwarts Legacy. I think from an atmosphere, from an environment standpoint, I think it's a really good game. The RT in that game sucks, dude. They did a terrible job with RT in that game. It's terrible. Ray tracing sucks in that game, dude. Would you agree that upscaling made developers lazy? Yes. Yes. 1000%. I'll sign my name to that. You can take that to the bank. And you know what? In the developer's defense, I'll say this, okay? What I'll say is this. Sorry, I'm getting cotton mouth. In the developer's defense, okay, what I will say is this. The corporate overlords that finance the games to be developed, they're also aware of the tools that can be used. So sometimes it's not always on the developers. They're just being lazy. Sometimes it could be the corporate overlords being like, hey guys, look, we're not giving you an extension on the task. It needs to be done by this date because we need to hit fourth quarter metrics. Daddy needs a new boat, right? So just use your little DLSS thing. Jensen said it works great. Do your thing and let's get it out for Christmas. And you can patch it in the new year. I guarantee you, conversations like that have absolutely occurred within these developer organizations. Absolutely. And then, of course, yeah, you also have that developer that's like, let's see, I got 8 hours to work on this. I could sit here and actually test a couple of GPUs and see how they perform, test a few CPUs, or I can guess and hit somewhere in the middle and then just turn on DLSS. I'll go with that. That's an hour worth of work versus 8 hours worth of work, right? So that's definitely a factor as well. 100% agree. 4K is extremely overrated. Absolutely. The games I play work fine at 4K, native 60. What games do you play? Let's see. RT, I feel, should really be used on a case-by-case basis. Absolutely. But if it's going to be used, if you're going to offer RT in the game, do it right. Do it justice. When I turn it on, there should be a noticeable difference in visual fidelity and lighting, and it should look good. It should look bad. So definitely do it justice. If you're going to do it justice. I have used my OLED for nearing on 2 years now. Not a single sign of burn-in. Same here. I got multiple OLEDs, and neither one of them have burn-in. 100% Alaska is gorgeous. especially in the summer. Bringing my dad from Puerto Rico. Nice to spend time with me and the grandkid and take them. Nice. That is awesome. Alaska State Fair. You don't say. Awesome. Okay. That sounds fun. What are your thoughts on handhelds? I think, honestly, handhelds have the potential to be the future. I'm not going to go out there and say that handhelds are the future, but they absolutely have the potential to be the future. And I'll tell you why. I have seen people start YouTube channels after me, like years after me, and all they talk about is the Steam Deck. And now they're at 100,000 subs, and literally all their content is on the Steam Deck. And what that tells me is that there is a massive audience out there, for people who are legitimately interested in handheld gaming and portable gaming on the go, right? So because the audience is there, the companies have the metrics and the numbers that say, hey, look, there's a big audience here. Let's keep pouring into that. So they will keep pouring into that. And eventually the tech will catch up to a point to where you can have a good experience. And it's not that you can't have a good experience now. It's just there's trade-offs, right? So like if you get a Steam Deck, for example, I have a Steam Deck. I don't have the OLED version, but I do have a Steam Deck. I'm not impressed with the battery life. I think it's very bad. And then on top of that, it's running on top of Linux. So there are plenty of games that I just can't run. Or because of the hardware, I can't really play newer games. It's just not, it's just not powerful enough, right? So then you say, okay, let's go get the ROG Xbox Ally. That's cool and all until you see that it's over $1,000. So there are trade-offs there, right? But I do think handheld gaming has a tremendous amount of potential. And look no further than the 3DS, my friend. Go look at the sales numbers for the 3DS. Look at Japan today, and you'll still see that the handheld market has a tremendous amount of potential. Absolutely, 1000%. Let's see. A lot of times RT just kills the frame rate. Absolutely. And like you have to understand, like, that's why we're dealing with DLSS, right? It's because of RT. So NVIDIA decided the next generation of graphics had nothing to do really with graphics, but had to do with lighting. So they decided to start doing ray tracing, right? And then they realized, okay, we don't really have the capability of doing ray tracing properly. It's just too much of a performance hit. I got it. Why don't we introduce something called DLSS? And then the first iterations of both really sucked. On the 20 series cards, almost no games offered ray tracing. And then a couple of times that you could use ray tracing, it didn't run it well, so you had to use DLSS. But back then, DLSS 1.0 was really grainy and blurry and all that crap. And then they just, instead of taking feedback and being like, hey, this is too difficult, maybe we should put it off for a few years, or hey, gamers aren't really buying into it. Instead of doing that, they doubled down, they tripled down on it. And now you have ray tracing coming out almost in every new AAA title day one. And NVIDIA's going up to DLSS 5 later this year. So, I mean, we've come a long way, right? But yeah, I mean, the whole reason why we have the whole DLSS fiasco and all that stuff, or have it as a thing now, is simply because of ray tracing. Let's see. And then you have Randy Pitchford, the leaders screaming that their game is optimized at launch. All you need, man, is just, turn on all the NVIDIA tricks and it's optimized. Yeah, absolutely. I saw that. I did a full benchmarking video on Borderlands 4, by the way, complaining about all that with my 5090, and you can see in real time how terrible it was. I refunded the game. That does a PC, especially HTPC, that does 4K is really, really important because you don't just use a monitor for gaming. Watching movies is right. Yep. I have OLED TV 1080p. I'm confused. They make 1080p OLEDs? TVs? Really? I didn't know that. LG for over 10 years. Oh, okay. So this is like an old one. Got it. Okay. My firm is making me learn AI to develop contract obligation trackers. It will save time, to be fair. Those can take weeks and all the reduced. Yeah. Don't get me wrong, man. I'm not completely against AI. What I am against is like all the slop we see online. And I am against it being shoved down our throats, whether if we want it or not. And I'm also against hearing about it 24/7. Hey, can you tell me something about your product that has nothing to do with AI? Oh, I didn't think so, because you have to do your marketing crap, right? So that's what I'm against. I'm also against, all the data centers being built, which is causing RAM prices to be unaffordable and taking from people's homes their water and driving up their electricity costs. So much so that Congress is having to get involved and do legislation. I'm against all of that. But as a tool in general, I'm not against it because it helped me build the app that I'm about to launch for you guys, right? The Xbox NXT dashboard experience, which is something I've been trying to get created for years now. I've written code myself for it. I've outsourced to other developers and worked with them behind the scenes. AI was that last little push that I needed to get it over the edge. So I'm not against it from a tooling standpoint, but it needs to be used the right way, and it needs to be used in a way that is not sacrificial to all the citizens around it, if that makes sense. So let's see. I see my name sticking out. E-Rock on Tech. Thing is that you are right with regard to the consoles, but the reason why 2160p is a thing in gaming is because TVs can only do two resolutions, 1080p or 2160p. Well then, one, I don't know how true that is, but two, well, there's technically 1080i, 1080p, there's 720 and stuff, but I get what you're saying. Yeah, come to think of it, I don't know if there is a TV that can support 14. Well, that's not entirely true, right? Because if a TV is 4K, you can still take your PC and connect it to it and choose to run the game at 1440p, and it will still match the TV fine. I've done it. So if it's at 4K, it's capable of going backwards. Even though the resolution of the TV may not be a native 1440p, it can still support a 1440p image. And Phil Spencer, back before he stepped down, did interviews, and he talked about many times how, Microsoft was working with TV manufacturers to make sure that the consoles are spec'd accordingly, blah, blah, blah. Well, while they were working with TV manufacturers, they could have just worked on a 1440p mode that would have been compatible with the Xbox and PlayStation, and that would have resolved all the issues. Anyway, I saw No Mac Minis on Amazon yesterday. Interesting. They either sold out or discontinued. As soon as you can turn on DLSS for live video encoding, you'll look like young Jason Statham. Probably. Hey, I thought I told you to be quiet. You ever seen the Godfrey clip of Jason Statham in the library? It's like Jason Statham, the librarian. Bro, that junk makes me laugh every mother freaking time, dude. If you haven't seen it, look that up. That is hilarious. That is hilarious. Also, I'm getting back into working out, starting to put back on a little bit of muscle. Might not be too long. I might be looking like Jason Statham. You guys hold me to that. All right, let's see. True, I love AI for movie videos, upscaling on my TV, Blu-ray player, DLSS 4 upscaling, ray renderization, etc. But hate the AI slop. Yeah, the AI slop's the worst, man. Might turn them into Cartman. Whatever would I do? I won't. My TV does 1440p. Nice. I have one complaint to AMD. It is the software support, no multi-frame generation. I lost your comment. It just got bumped up. Sorry. But yeah, I mean, yeah, there it is. And don't forget the anti-lag 2 fiasco. Oh yeah, I forgot about that. They rolled that back, right? And the anti-lag 2 was getting people banned in competitive shooters, if I remember correctly. That was a while back. I wonder if AMD came out with that NVIDIA did, if some would have the same attitude with AI. It's not a matter of if, it's just a matter of when. AMD... Okay. It's not that AMD is standing over here and being like, no, NVIDIA, we don't agree with that. We're not going to do it. And that's why they don't offer the same stuff. It's a matter of, crap, NVIDIA just released what? Dang it. Okay, guys, can we speed up production? Because like they just got 2 levels ahead again. Yeah, come on, guys. That's more or less what it is. Like AMD is just catching up. And we already have the history there to prove it, right? NVIDIA went ray tracing. AMD didn't. AMD got behind. AMD got criticized for it, but you don't offer ray tracing, even though NVIDIA's ray tracing was freaking garbage. Everybody was still like, but you don't offer ray tracing. So then AMD started implementing ray tracing, and of course they went through the same pains as NVIDIA. It was really bad at first. And then it became, well, you don't have an upscaler. And then they came out with FSR, and it was really bad. Well, you need AI upscaling, and then they came out with FSR 4, and now it's really good. And it's just a matter of getting FSR 4 involved into more games. And then it was, well, but you don't have frame generation. Okay, now they got frame generation, but now you don't have multi-frame generation. You see what I mean? It's not that they're not going to do it. It's just they're behind. I mean, that's really all it is. They're going to do it. Everything you see NVIDIA doing, they're just laying the roadmap for AMD. That's all that's happening. But I have an older TV from 2016 to 1440p on it. It's just awful compared to 1080p or 4K. That's interesting. And that could be due to the fact that it's an older TV from 2016. I know today my TV, which is a newer TV, I've played games at 1440p on it. Runs fine. Also keep in mind, dude, If you run DLSS quality, FSR quality, you're running the game at a native 1440p image, and it's just being upscaled to fit the 4K. But the native rendered image is 1440p at that point, and it's just being upscaled to match your 4K TV. Would you suggest I get a mini LED to save money? I don't know about spending that OLED. I got a video on my channel where I upgraded my wife's PC. Like, nobody watched it. The algorithm did not push it at all. It's over a month old and it still has less than 1,000 views. So go check that out. But I actually showcase a mini LED monitor in that video, and I talk about some of the benefits of it. So maybe that'll convince you. Yeah, go mini LED to save the money. You can see the quality there in the video. Here I am gaming with my 9070 XT on a 65-inch LG C1 and a 5.1 home theater system. That sounds like a sweet setup, my friend. I just wanted to say, since that was the topic in recent videos, I've been a long-time AMD GPU user, pretty much back to 2010. Everything from onboard graphics to high-end GPU, never driver issues. Awesome. I'm happy you've had that phenomenal experience. E-Rock. Who's your favorite Pokemon? Charizard, not even a question. And I think multi-frame gen is just silly. What I care about is good quality ray tracing and AI frame gen. AMD is really good at eliminating stuttering. And so I'm going to tell you where I'm at on frame gen, guys. I really want to try their 4.5 dynamic frame gen. And I'll tell you why. Because most people went from, I hate frame generation, I don't want it, blah, blah, blah. It's the same story, different day. We've all seen this movie before, right? NVIDIA introduces controversial new feature, and it's mostly controversial because it's not native and it's using AI and people don't like that. And then a whole generation goes by, and then they introduce the next version of it. And now people are saying, well, you know, that last version wasn't so bad. It happens all the freaking time, right? It happens with video games. It happens with Call of Duty. Anyway. So people went from absolutely hating frame generation to being like, you know, frame generation is not that bad, but man, multi-frame gen, I just can't get on board with it. And that's what I'm starting to see now in my comments more than anything else. But with that being said, I think dynamic frame gen is a way to kind of bridge the gap on that. When you're running demanding sections of a game and you have frame generation on, it'll just do like, you know, like if it's super demanding, it might amp it up to 4, 5, 6x. And then when it's not so demanding, it'll ramp it back down to like just your standard 2x. That could be a good thing. It could also be a really, 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 really bad thing. I don't know yet. Like, I haven't had a chance to test it. So it's garbage, but technically, the only thing you have to think about is that updates to new tech comes a little later. And I mean like 1 to 2 weeks at most if you don't buy games on release day. I almost never buy games on release day anymore. Almost never. I wish AMD had a 90 card comparison. That would be nice. It would be expensive, but that would be nice. I love my mini LED TV. Nice. Any news about when 9950X 3D 2? So Asus accidentally leaked it. ASRock accidentally leaked it. We all expected it to be announced at CES, and it wasn't. Best guess, it might be announced in May at what's that other event? It's not CES. It's the y'all know what I'm talking about. In May, everybody goes to Taipei. Whatever that is, that big trade show thing, it'd be there. Frame gen for gamers is worse than DLSS 5 in terms of what it does. Probably. Hard to tell. Haven't tested DLSS 5 at all. All we know about DLSS 5 is that it changes character models to a point where people don't like it, and it's not available yet. And they were using 25090s to run the demo. And we don't know what it's going to do to the frame rates. And we also haven't seen any gameplay. We've literally seen the most gameplay we got was Leon getting up out of the car. It's like a half a second. That's like all we got. So that's my problem. Like, I don't want to just see still images and stuff. Like, I want to actually see gameplay, like characters walking. You know what I'm saying? Lossless scaling for multi-frame gen, but I lost something in my mind. I'm not a fan of lossless scaling. I know it's gotten a lot of praise and credibility from other bigger tech tubers and stuff. I paid $10 for it. I own it. I tried it. I was not impressed with it. I'm like, at this point, it's like if you have a card that can do FSR 4, if you have a card that can do DLSS 4, you don't need lossless scaling. Let's see. You guys are just talking. Okay. What could be holding back AMD on getting FSR 4 on RDNA 2.3, considering PS5 Pro, resources, legal? Truth is, I don't know if there's a technical limitation to it. It could be like, cause with Nvidia, they make the claim the reason why you don't have frame generation on the 30 series is because of the hardware. And the reason why you don't have multi-frame gen supposedly on the 40 series is because of the hardware, supposedly. So there could be something going on there where there's like some type of physical hardware limitation. I don't really know. But it could also be the fact that if you remember earlier this year, just a few months ago, AMD got in some hot water for saying they weren't going to support RDNA 2 anymore, I think is what it was, or RDNA 1, one of those. And then we're like, no, we're going to support it. It's just, it's not going to be the priority. So they're probably trying to phase it out. That's probably why. Even though they should support it. $5. Thank you so much. HDZ77. Is it bad that I upgrade every generation? I am 44 and life is too short to not enjoy these new technologies, in my opinion. Well, first of all, let me just say thank you so much for the donation. You are freaking awesome. You did not have to do that. Thank you so much. I really do appreciate it. I keep talking about channel memberships, and once I open them, I need to open them. I'm hoping just more people will go to that. But thank you guys so much for the donation, so much. Is it bad that I upgrade every generation? So here's the thing about it. I'm going to pull a little bit of new school and a little bit of old school. Okay. All right. So the old school. All right. So the new school mantra would be, you don't need to upgrade every generation. You don't need that. It's a waste of money. Wait a couple of years, let the tech get better, and then you'll see a better leap in performance. That's very true. The old school mentality is, it's your money. And as long as you got everything right in your life, what you do with your leisure money is you and your business. So are your bills paid? Are your obligations done? Have you done everything you need to do responsibly with your money? All the things that you are required to do with your money, to have a house or that have a roof above your head, food on your table, all that stuff. If all that stuff's taken care of, man, and you're straight in all that regard, then who cares? As long as you can afford it and you're not making financial decisions that are hurting somebody else or even hurting yourself to your own detriment, go for it, man. If you got the money, go for it. All right, let's see. Don't RDNA 3 cards have way less teraflops instead compared to PS5 Pro? Off the top of my head, bro, I don't know. But a quick little Google search to fix that. My computer's being stupid. Google doesn't want to open. Pull it up. Wow. Like legit? My web browser will not open right now. Holy crap. It's like my system's locked up. I'll open Edge. Ugh. Ah! Edge. Let's see. So teraflops, PS5. What did you ask about? PS5 Pro versus RDNA 3 was 7000 series, right? So let's do 77. We'll just do 7800 XT. See what we can get here. PS5 Pro GPU versus RX 7800 XT. Just trying to see what's up. There's no quick breakdown on that. I need to look. Yeah, I don't know. There's no easy way to find that information. Let me just do this real quick. Dude. Edge browser sucks, dude. This is garbage. I want to puke looking at this. Do any of you use Edge? Hope not. This is awful. Okay. Let's see, we'll do how many teraflops in PS5 Pro. And then I'll ask, what is the equivalent AMD RDNA 3 GPU? PS5 Pro has a GPU rated at 16.7 teraflops. Dude. Goodness gracious. So ChatGPT allowed me to ask one question before it's trying to make me sign in. Why would my Chrome not open, dude? This is so annoying. Anyway, RDNA 3 cards are almost all way more powerful than the PS5. A little upset that the new APUs by AMD seem to aim at AI now instead of gaming for handhelds and such. Well, I just think they have their market for AI. I don't think they're going to completely give up on the other stuff, the handhelds and the desktop stuff. Don't worry about that. PS5 Pro GPU is equivalent to 4070 7700 XT. Yeah, that sounds right. Because I made a video about that when the when the PS5 Pro first got announced. I deleted Edge and Copilot from my Windows 11 gaming PC. Yeah. I deleted Copilot. I got Edge on here as a backup, but because I needed it. I don't know why my thingamajig, my Chrome won't open for some reason. But anyway, let's see. Time to move on to, man, we've been streaming a hot minute. This stream's going great, boys. 9:17. Holy crap. All right, so let's see what else. PS5 Pro does. You know, man, I got a little bit of flack whenever I made my well, hang on. 9950X 3D is a little bit pointless. Maybe not. I have a 9950X 3D and I like it, but I don't like the whole like, well, because you have dual CCDs, it introduces latency. So then you have to do core parking because you might need the X3D Vcache for gaming, but then you might need the non-X3D Vcache for productivity. And if you don't, you have to do all these things to set up core parking on Windows. And if one little thing's off, then core parking doesn't work. So then now you need to learn Process Lasso, which I've done a full video about, and it works, but it's just annoying having to do that. So I think the theory behind the 9950X 3D is that you can have the Vcache on all the cores, and that way it doesn't matter which cores it's using, you're always getting Vcache for your gaming experience, and then you don't have to worry about going back and forth. I think that's the idea behind it. The downside there is that it would still be two CCDs, and if they're trading information back and forth, that still introduces latency as opposed to just saying, hey, I always want this task to run on this CCD, right? So I'm not really sure what AMD's plan is with that. I don't know if they're going to come out and just be like, hey, same story, different day, just more Vcache. Or if they're going to say, hey, core parking is no longer a thing. I'm betting money core parking is still going to be a thing, unfortunately. Let's see. Oh, it wasn't teraflops. It was tops. My bad. Okay. What's up, E-Rock? What's up, Framerate X? How you doing? I corrected what I said. Yep, I got you. Okay. I like Brave and Vivaldi. Both have built-in ad blockers. I don't think I've tried Vivaldi, but I have tried Brave. But using Edge earns you. You're right about that. You're right about that. Let's see. All right. Let's see. So, yeah, guys, anytime, if you're trying to post a link or anything like that, YouTube's going to shoot that crap down. That's not me. That's YouTube. So just FYI. I'm going to stop you right there. AMD does not plan. Maybe not. Brave is awesome. Okay, I have a 9950X 3D, bro. I know what it does. I just keep the names, cost the name. Yeah. Let's see. To answer your question about PS5 and AMD GPUs, that would be the Radeon 6600 and 6700 on par. Iona 6600 XT. I'm kind of upset though because I really enjoy the feeling of upgrading, but now there's no way I'm buying anything more expensive than 9070 XT for a while. Well, the good news is if you have a 9070 XT, you won't need anything for a while. So it works out. Well, I don't know if it counts, but you can use the new multi-frame generation on AMD with, oh yeah, Fluid Motion 2.1. I don't know if that counts with multi-frame generation. I don't know if it does either. I use Brave browser. It's great. Fantastic, Tracy. All right. So one thing I was going to say on PS5, it's kind of funny that when the PS5 Pro first got announced, I did my videos talking about, hey, like here's an equivalent PC build. And then I got some numbers at the time, but I didn't really grow an audience. It just had a bunch of PlayStation fanboys arguing in the comment section. And I think, I don't even remember, it's been so long. I think one of my main points was just arguing with people that like your PS5 Pro is not going to be a PC killer. It just depends on, you know, what the PC is. But I think, you know, the problem with the PS5 Pro, and I mean, hindsight's 2020. I mean, me and some other tech viewers, we saw it coming. Like we knew what they were doing, but a lot of people wanted to believe the hype, and I don't want to, you know, crap on anybody's dreams or whatever. But I mean, I've seen so many YouTube videos now that it's been a while. I've seen comments, I've seen subreddits, I've seen tweets, I've seen YouTube videos. Almost everybody who's bought a PS5 Pro, almost everybody, they're all like, yeah, this isn't what I thought it was going to be. I expected more, you know, and they're a little bit disappointed with it. That's been my experience in my bubble. We're all in a bubble because we're all controlled by the algorithm. I think I need to repaste mine. It's been 3 years. Yes, repaste. I just repasted my 5090 when I took it apart. I'm 66 years old. All right. And my first ever overclock was an Intel 8088 from, man, that is old. Height of 6 megahertz. Wow. I am still a techie on the bleeding edge of tech. Well, good for you. Tech's going to keep you young. That's awesome. I use Firefox, but I wish I had HDR support. I did not realize Firefox does not have HDR support. Interesting. Thank you for letting me know. I was thinking to upgrade to the 9950X3D, but I already have the 9950X3D. I think maybe due to multitasking and gaming. But I like the new 9950X3D too. We'll use, yeah. I have a Gigabyte 4090 gaming OC. I have a PS5 Pro. I like it. Awesome. I bought it for Final Fantasy VII. Well, on that same note, I got a Switch 2 and I like it. I just beat Fire Red on it. And even though it's an old game that I can emulate, I was able to play it at the, like, I introduced my 7-year-old son to Fire Red and he freaking lost it. He loved it. And then so as he would do an hour or whatever in the game and then go to bed, I would stay up and do that section and maybe another section so that the next morning, oh yeah, you got to go here and click this. You got to do that, you know, so I could coach him through everything. That was a good experience. My first family PC as a kid was 99 mega. Woo, crazy. I'm in my mid 30s. My first overclock was the Athlon X2. Nice. I actually needed it for prototype. Stock 2.7 gigahertz. I was only getting 50 FPS. Nice. Oh, the game prototype. Am I remembering that right? I made a video on this, but what do you think about the PS5 Pro getting the FSR4 and 8 instead of RDNA 2 and RDNA 3? I personally think it's dirtiest. Yeah, I mean, I agree. So I know you came in a little later in the stream. We talked about this earlier in the stream. Long story short, love them or hate them, better or worse. NVIDIA does a better job than an AMD at back supporting their catalog of cards. I think the reason why AMD isn't doing a better job supporting their old GPUs, I think it's twofold. I think number one, I'm just going to be honest with you. AMD is big and as successful as they are, they're a much smaller company than NVIDIA, and they're struggling to keep up. I do think that's a factor. I really, really do think that's a factor. That's why NVIDIA continues to just roll out new feature and constantly have something to announce when AMD is just struggling to catch up. I think the other part of it too is AMD is secretly trying to get people off RDNA 2 and RDNA 3 and get onto the newer stuff. Because I think doing back support for RDNA 2 and RDNA 3 is a lot of headache. It's a lot of hassle. It's a lot of dev time that doesn't come as easy for them as it does for somebody like NVIDIA, for example. So while I 1000% agree that it's dirty and they absolutely should support the old cards 1,000,000%, I just think that's the reasons why they're not. I got a Switch 2, but haven't played it in about 2 or 3 months, but I keep buying games. Tracy, you are an odd character, my man. Oh, Tracy, did you see my videos I sent you in text about the app? User error. It's right there. Isn't that what you used to tell me all the time? Oh, man. Yes, the game prototype. Now it runs 60 FPS locked on Steam Deck. Excelente. I'm 50 now, by the way. Awesome. Well, for those wondering, I'm only 36. Let's see. When I was a little kid, they're even much smaller company than Intel's. Talking about AMF. Gotcha. Oh, absolutely. NVIDIA took care of everyone. Almost 20, 30, 40, 50. Both got... Yep, absolutely. That's what I'm talking about. Exactly. Funny, right? Because it used to be AMD that was better back support. Yeah, I mean, for a hot minute there, like AMD was doing a lot of pro consumer things, man. They really were on CPU and GPU side of things. Man, I don't miss floppies, but I do miss Super Pitfall. There's a lot of tech from back in the day that I don't miss, but I do miss the period of like 90s and stuff. Like so much of my feed, dude, on Instagram, X, and even in my iMessage when my friends are texting me, like we share so much nostalgia stuff from 90s, early 2000s. And it's just like, I really miss that period of tech. Like I really, really miss that period of tech. I really do. Will AMD release a 9600 X3D or 9700 X3D to respond to the latest Intel CPUs? Well, they actually just announced, what is it? The 50. It's like 9650X, 9750X or something like that. Like they literally just announced that this past week. So they did make some new CPU announcements. Let's see. Yeah, I did, but still not working. I do think I'm on a slightly newer build than what you have, Tracy. Let me send it over to you. By the way, I don't know if you paid attention to the app, Tracy, but it like once you add in your manual games, you can also remove them. We might go over it here in a second. Let's see. I think AMD's GPU division is smaller for sure. Absolutely, 1000%. Not even a question. Well, that's fact. But the GPU and CPU market combined, I don't know. Nvidia probably is still bigger, but AMD. Look, don't get me wrong, man. I'm not trying to be like, oh, poor little AMD, you know, don't step on them. But that's not what I mean. I'm just trying to put things into perspective and be like, I mean, the proof is in the pudding. I mean, every time Nvidia releases a new feature, AMD's at least a year or more out. AMD's frame generation is still barely on par with Nvidia's basic frame generation, and now Nvidia's already on multi-frame generation, and they're literally about to release dynamic fluid frame generation. And then on top of that, later this year, they're going to release DLSS 5. AMD's struggling, bro. Like they are struggling to catch Nvidia. So, like, anyway, that's what I mean with all that. I'm 42. My first PC ever was a 33 megahertz. Man, it's crazy. I don't even remember the specs of my first one, man. I really don't. Let's see. All right, I miss 90s PC peripherals like Sidewinder joysticks. Oh yeah, I do remember that. Yeah. Now I get what you mean completely, bro. Awesome. Oh, let's see. AMD should just make FSR4 a beta feature for RDNA 2 and RDNA 3. Basically, use at your own risk. That's actually not a bad idea. They could do that, get some feedback, and see how things are going. If it's going better than expected, roll it into a 1.0 release. All right, let me show you here. All right. What are some other comments to talk about? One of the other comments I got on that AMD video, I had quite a few people saying things like, why are you making this video, dude? Like, no one's complaining about AMD. People haven't complained about AMD in 10 years. That was literally a comment. Everyone loves AMD. Everyone I know has AMD, you know? And that, I'm just like, dude, I literally... Like I said, I posted my video on X, and the very first comment I got was telling me how bad AMD sucks. So like I said, unfortunately we all live in bubbles, right? Your Instagram reels, your TikTok feed, whatever. It's all an algorithm showing you things that you've shown interest in the past. So we're not all seeing the whole picture, but in my bubble, I still see plenty of people dog on AMD, complain about AMD. So that's why I made that challenge video. I also made the challenge video just because I genuinely wanted to know. I meant to say this in that video and I didn't. That video was just so long and there was so much to cover. But long story short, you know, my first AMD card was a 5700 XT. And I, like, from a pure gaming standpoint, it was fine. 1440p, it did great. It did great. But... and to be fair, I bought the card and built that PC before I decided to get into content creation. But then later, I decided to get into content creation. That was before COVID hit. So COVID hit, we're all at home. I'm like, you know, maybe I could start making content. I didn't want to stream, but I fell under this impression of, hey, in this market, you have to stream for whatever reason. So I started streaming on Twitch and then making some videos on YouTube. Twitch took the priority. Newsflash, I didn't grow. I didn't go anywhere. But that 5700 XT for me did a awful job at streaming. And so that pushed me to NVIDIA. I'm like, okay, the next NVIDIA card that gets announced, I got to get it. And that's when they announced the 30 series cards. And they announced the 30 series cards and I wanted a 3080, but like everybody else, I couldn't get it. So I ended up getting a 3070. I actually got a Founders 3070 from Best Buy for MSRP and I was so happy about it. And that really took my streams to the next level because I was able to get NVENC and all that. And I remember at that time, I kept searching for videos, how to stream with AMD cards, how to do that. And I could basically find nothing. Everything I found was NVIDIA NVENC, NVIDIA NVENC. You got to have NVENC. You got to have NVENC. That was everything I found on YouTube, everything. So all that time went by. Fast forward many years. I knew AMD was getting better, but I never really tried to make content with it again. I never really went back down that road. I mean, I had all the NVIDIA cards. There wasn't really a need. But I got to thinking about it and I said, there's all the tech YouTubers do the same thing, right? They take the card, they put it on the test bench, they rattle off some specs about the card. And then after that, they just run it through their standard benchmark suite that they run all the games through or all the cards through. And then after that, they put the card on the shelf, it collects dust, and they move on to the next thing, right? And I'm like, none of these big tech YouTubers are actually talking about what it's like to actually use the card on a daily basis. So even though I literally have every freaking card back there from last year, I have one of every card, including NVIDIA, I said, let me put all that to the side. I'm going to take AMD's best and I'm going to drive it daily. And it was only supposed to be a 30-day challenge. It ended up turning into like 60 something days. I'm still using it for the stream right here. I still haven't switched over. And it was not all sunshine and rainbows, but I learned so much. Okay, DaVinci Resolve rendering does not work right away. It does not work well right away with AMD. But you know what? There's a solution for it. There are settings that you can use to get pristine quality that rivals NVIDIA's. It just took some time for me to troubleshoot and find that out, right? And then once I found that time and once I troubleshooted it, I shared that information in the video. And then I started getting comments. Dude, thank you so much for sharing those settings. Oh my goodness. Thank you so much for the DaVinci Resolve settings. People were literally grateful that I was sharing all the content, right? So so for all the people under that video leaving comments that were like, why are you making this video? Like nobody's complaining about AMD. Everybody loves it. That's why I made the video. Okay. And I think and all of you here, y'all understand that. Like none of this is geared toward you guys, right? This is, for the, just addressing some of the comments. All right, so that was one thing I wanted to talk about as well. Let's see what you guys talking about. All right, let's see. I don't trust AMD with a universal FSR 4. They won't optimize it. FSR 4 should be open sourced. Lossless scaling has that FSR 1 title. Someone could optimize FSR 4. Well, the first FSR, I think FSR 1 and 2 and maybe even 3, I think those aren't those open source? I thought they were. AMD has a software problem, not a hardware problem. So most people, again, in my bubble, they actually love the Adrenaline software. So what about the software do you not like? Or do you mean other things like video editing and stuff like that? I had the Lisa Su signed 5700 XT reference model. Always was my first AMD card. Oh, that's awesome. That sounds cool. That sounds really cool, actually. People always recommend AMD, but not many actually buy their GPUs. There's a lot of truth in that. Or if they buy them, they stop using them or sell them, or maybe they're just all using them for Linux and then they never show up on the Steam hardware survey. I don't know what it is. You guys, I've shown some of the footage in some of my videos before. Have you guys looked at the Micro Center launch day video for the 9070 and 9070 XT? If you have not seen that, you need to go watch it, because the drone footage of the aerial shot of the stores, the amount of people lining up to buy 9070 and 9070 XTs, insane amounts of people. And in the stores, it was wall-to-wall people. What I don't understand, though, what I cannot fathom is, why the Steam hardware survey numbers are not better. I'm like, are all these people Linux users, or like what's going on? I mean, on Linux, you can opt in for the Steam hardware survey, but if you're using Linux, you're probably not giving up data, right? So I don't know. That was a legitimate question I have. AMD has a marketing problem. Definitely agree with that. I don't even need an elaboration. I definitely agree with that. 1000%. Would you think they would add rebar toggle back to turn off for game, but optimize it to work correctly? I'm not sure. Sorry for the late reply. I had gotten a phone call. No worries. Oh, you're talking about him. People always, yeah. And then let's see. AMD definitely has a marketing problem. What's up, Mike? AM5 and RAM issues are my only gripe for AMD platform. Okay, so I did my whole AM5 series, right? Before you buy AM5, that freaking first video skyrocketed for me. And then I did a whole video series out of it. AM5's come a long way, man. I'm using AM5 now. I can honestly tell you it's been a good year plus, if not more, since I've had a single RAM boot related issue. Hand to God, Scout's honor, put my hand on the Bible, whatever you want me to do, I'll do it. I'm dead serious when I say that. I haven't had, like, AMD's done a lot of Agisa updates, a lot, since I made that original video. They've come a long way. So I personally don't have any issues with AM5 as a platform or DDR5 memory currently. I think one of the issues is NVIDIA are just better, but they are also more expensive. But if you are a voice in the tech community, you spend the extra and get the best. You are not optimizing. Gotcha. Being a computer, let me scroll up. Being a computer technician, I've used every AMD GPU there is, but the last one that I owned myself was the ATI 9800 Pro. Wow. You ever notice AMD has 5% of the market and so does Linux? Last numbers I saw said AMD had 10%. I don't know how accurate that is. But yes, I would wager that most people who are buying AMD are probably using Linux as well. You know what? I don't even know if that's true. I shouldn't say that. Though, of course, the Steam surveys speak for themselves too. Furthermore, I'm using a 3090 at 1440p. Smokes. I got a buddy who literally got tired of his 5090, put it on the shelf, and he bought a 3090 Ti EVGA, and he's currently looking at buying a 1440p monitor. I paired my 9070 with Ryzen 7 5700X. Works great. That's fantastic. Hi, Rock. Hi, Mike. I said hi earlier when I saw your name, man. What's up? How you doing? Every PC I had was NVIDIA until I got 9070 XT. How are you liking your 9070 XT? I don't get the hate for 9070 XT. Here in Canada, it's $899 card, while the cheapest 57. Yeah, dude, that's a massive difference, right? AMD doesn't have a driver problem. They have an artificial segmentation problem. APUs all have disabled driver features. FSR1. Okay. Let's see. Got tired of his 5090. Yeah, he so when he bought his 5090, they were still sold out everywhere. And so he showed up to Micro Center one day. They had one 5090 in stock, and it was an AIO card. And so he's tired of it being an AIO. It's just super big, clunky, gigantic tube running all over the case. Looks ugly. Takes up a full radiator spot. That's why. AMD has a higher percentage of DIY market. Most of the 95% is OEM. Gotcha. All right. AMD has always had a stronghold in Germany and Japan. Really? In Germany because of Dredden Fab. I have no idea what that is. And in Japan, back to AMD, given 286 the Panasonic on Intel bribes to prevent AMD sales. All right. I'm an NVIDIA fanboy. I'm 40. Been back and forth with AMD. Just give me an NVIDIA. I think that says CPU, but you mean GPU, please. Gotcha. Oh, that makes sense. I love it, bro. Awesome. I'm glad you love it, man. What should I do if Kingdom Hearts Remix 1 or particular old parts isn't having correct frame pacing without the need to disable rebar since I'm on the NVIDIA card? Well, if turning off rebar fixes it, then turn off rebar. That's the thing with PC, guys, is like PC is as much as people like to buy pre-builts and stuff, PC is very much a DIY thing, right? Like, even if you don't want to build it yourself, like, you're gonna have to learn how to tune games and turn on features and turn off things. Like, the control is in your hands, right? So there's that. Let's see. All right. Let's talk about the next comment from the video. The next common comment that I saw so much on that video was the error 202 thing. Now, I didn't know this at the time. I learned this from reading all the comments. But basically, what the error actually says is what I said in my video, which is basically Windows is trying to install an update. And I'm like, Windows is not installing an update. My updates are delayed. And I just checked it. There's no updates. This is a bullcrap message. Well, what it's doing is, even though Windows is not showing you the updates running, secretly hidden in the background, it's attempting to install a video driver. Since I just uninstalled the video driver, it doesn't have a driver, and it says you need a driver, so let us install a driver for you. Logically, that makes sense. I totally get it. But one, that error message needs to be updated so that it's more clear as to what's going on. 2, Windows should do a much better job at saying, hey, you don't have a video driver. Would you like us to install it, or will you install your own? And then I could just say, I'm going to install my own. Leave me alone, right? That should happen too. 3, I have used DDU hundreds of times, literally, and I've never had that error before. So it must be some type of weird super timing issue that I ran into with that. I also saw comments where people were like, well, you know, it also happens on NVIDIA. It's not just an AMD thing. I've never had the error before. I've never had it on all the NVIDIA cards that I tested last year for all the testing that I did. I never had it on any of the AMD cards. That was the first time I ever had that error. And that's why I put the error in the video, because otherwise I'd be like, oh, I've seen this 1,000 times. It just means blah, blah. But that's not what happened. It was the only time I've ever seen that error. I'm like, that's odd. Let me put it in there. And then people are like, well, you don't know what you're doing. You should never use DDU. You should just use the factory reset. You can use DDU for NVIDIA, but don't use it for AMD. Well, NVIDIA's NVIDIA app has a clean install feature, which I take it is the exact same thing as the factory reset feature on the Adrenalin software. So if you say you can use it on the AMD, but not NVIDIA, that doesn't seem to logically make sense, as you can both do the same thing through both of their apps. So I don't get that. 2, you could check any troubleshooting forum on the internet, whether if it's the comment section on YouTube or a subreddit or a comment somewhere on X or whatever. DDU has quite literally been recommended thousands of times as a tool and as a way to install and uninstall drivers. So I just find it so interesting that so many people in the comments were like, you shouldn't use DDU, you shouldn't use DDU, you shouldn't use... Dude, DDU has been recommended so many times. Like, I've seen it recommended so many times. Now, the big thing that I didn't do that everybody's like, you should have done this, is you're supposed to disconnect your PC from the internet before running DDU. So that way you don't run into that issue where Windows tries to install a driver. And that's fair. I should have done that, and I didn't do that. And now I'm telling you all. So there you go. With that being said, though, everybody was, insulting me for that. And my response was, I got it running. Did I not? Like, literally just reboot the PC, try again. Second time it works. Imagine that. So anyway, I got it running. It's not like I did something atrociously terrible. But anyway, I found it interesting. Just so many people do not read pinned comments, and they do not read other people's comments. I find it so funny. Like when somebody comes in late to a video that's been live for a few days, it's got 30, 40,000 views. It's got over 1,000 comments, and they're like, oh, I'm going to write a comment about this. I'm sure nobody has said this already. And it's like, no, dude, there's like 20 other people that wrote that before you wrote that. But anyway, it's just funny how it works, man. I did a reg edit to disable auto driver installing. That's a good tip. I should do that. Windows really sucks, man. Sometimes. AMD has almost 50% of the desktop and server market, and low 20s in mobile, and 12% in DGPU. As Intel overstates on fab revival, AMD is starting. And I'm a former AMD employee. All right. I did not know that about you. I did not know you were a former AMD employee. Let's see what else we got here. Let's see. Nope. I meant CPU. We will get one. Oh, so you think we're going to get an NVIDIA CPU? All right. Let's see what happens. If you remember AM4, AMD massively screwed over X370 chipsets and lied about it and refused to update BIOS while severe security vulnerability existed. I thought they said that sorry, I peeked. I thought they said that initially, and then I thought due to the blowback, they reverted that, and they did ultimately update it. Or am I misremembering that? Correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought that's what happened. Winning the DIY market means that even if you got 100% there, you're at less than 10% of the general PC market. Let's see. Okay, yeah, you guys are just talking. I only buy AMD because they have better price to performance. NVIDIA feels like you are just giving money to the machine. Well, I mean, make no mistake about it, man. If AMD has the opportunity to be in NVIDIA's position, they're going to take it. It's not like they're voluntarily choosing to be where they are. They have fallen into the position they're in, and so they have to play the market accordingly, right? Once you learn how to DIY your PC, though, hard to look back at that point. Oh, I agree, man. I agree 1,000%. Anyone else try out NVIDIA cards and AMD cards on OLED HDR displays? NVIDIA seems to be more dull and cooler, while AMD seems warmer. I've tried both on my OLED display. Both seem fine to me. Not by default. So with AMD, I have to go into the Adrenaline software. I have to make sure that HDR 10-bit, or sorry, I have to make sure that 10-bit color depth is enabled for it to look good. And with NVIDIA, I have to go to the control panel and use the NVIDIA color settings in order for it to look good. By default, it doesn't. And so a lot of people don't know to do that. A lot of people don't know you need to go to the control panel and tweak it just a little bit. But also colors and the way your monitor looks, it is a bit subjective as well. I guess it's because I was upgrading from a GTX 1070. Intel's consent order overwatched. Okay. Just use DDU. Amen. I would say if you can get a good deal on a mini LED, go for it. I got an OLED and a mini LED sitting right next to each other. Very little difference, and the mini LED is quite a bit brighter. Mini LED is good, man. It's a good alternative. No doubt about that. DDU won't fix Asus onboard sound driver, which will brick Windows. So not that I'm defending Asus, but I just don't use onboard audio stuff personally. I'm not an audiophile like that. Don't overly care. I just buy a headset with the USB, plug it in, and I'm done. That's me personally. I don't use any super fancy headsets with audio jacks or anything like that. So I don't have any experience to talk to about that. I am a former NVIDIA DRAM. NVIDIA is having driver issues now, but AMD isn't. Right? Yeah, Windows does suck. Absolutely. Yes, NVIDIA is having a lot of driver issues right now. It's actually the whole 50 series generations just kind of had some issues, man, since day one. Real talk, E-Rock, AMD would take total advantage if they were in the same position as NVIDIA. Got to remember, it's a company, a big one, run by humans. Absolutely. I often worry how many PC users do not know how to set resolution refresh rate. Dude, tons. Okay. A lot of you won't know this, but when Hogwarts Legacy first came out, I did a couple of Hogwarts Legacy videos on the channel, benchmarks and stuff like that. But one of them was a mod video. And ultimately, the mod is now no longer relevant. It's been patched and all that stuff. But so I unlisted the video. But when I did the mod, and this is back when I had a free and public Discord, and I did the mod, and I was like, hey, click this, do that. The amount of people that came to the Discord that had no idea where Hogwarts Legacy was installed on their channel, on their PC was astounding. I was like, you mean to tell me you're a PC gamer, you're a daily PC user, and you don't know how to check where your game is installed? That's pretty scary. That's pretty pathetic. So, I mean, yeah, dude, you got people like that. You definitely have people who have monitors that are 240 hertz and they're running at 60 because they don't know to go change it in the settings. AMD excels at more than 3 monitors. I'm currently at 6. Again, one of those things I don't have any experience with. I got a 2-monitor setup. That's it. I don't have 3 monitors. I don't have 4. I can't tell you what that's like on NVIDIA or AMD. I just have no experience with that. AMD and NVIDIA are always slightly different color temperature. That's normal. And no one is better or worse. As a graphics person, you have to calibrate all of them anyway. E-Rock, what's your personal opinion on the value that AMD brings to the general gaming? Well, used to be a lot higher. These days, okay, so the 9070 XT is a great card, and it's cheaper than the NVIDIA counterpart, which is 5070 Ti. So from that standpoint, it's a great value. But AMD also said $600 MSRP. You can't really get it for that. That's not entirely AMD's fault. The world sucks right now. AI crap, wars, inflation. So there's a lot of factors into it, right? I mean, there's a lot of real world factors that are just outside of AMD's control. So I try to keep that in mind. But still, at the end of the day, money talks. Money is what it is. The value proposition of AMD is not as great as I think it was. Like going back to the 3000 series cards with NVIDIA and the 6000 series cards with AMD, the value proposition there was really high. Because if memory serves me correctly, the 6000 series cards, more oftentimes than not, actually outperformed NVIDIA in pure rasterization at 1440p. Once you went to 4K, it was a completely different story. And then also age-old thing where, you know, you got more VRAM and stuff with AMD. But I would still say the value proposition is pretty strong for AMD. It's not like it's terrible. It definitely could be a lot worse. Definitely a lot better than what Intel is offering with the ARC cards. And if you go NVIDIA, you're paying a premium at this point. And NVIDIA is the Apple. It's the Nike, right? That's what they are. You know, it's just that simple. Hey, Rock, do you recommend Linux Fedora? I'm going to try on my test bench. Man, I have gone down the Linux. So here's the funny part. I've gone down the Linux rabbit hole. Like, I've watched so many videos on it, but I haven't actually used Linux daily. And the reason for that is because, I mean, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what distro you're using. Linux is Linux. If, you know what I mean? Like, Linux is compatible with what it's compatible with, and it's not compatible with what it's not compatible with. My problem with Linux, personally, is that there's just how I was able to switch over to AMD and still be able to do my normal workflow and use it daily. With Linux, I would have to really change some things. Primarily, like this mic, for example. I'm using the Elgato Wavelink as my audio interface, and I actually just bought Wavelink 2. I need to set it up. That Elgato is owned by Corsair, and Corsair is notorious for not having proper Linux support. So I already know that this audio interface is not going to be compatible with Linux. So now I'm going to have to go buy a new audio interface just to work with Linux. And so that hinders me from making videos, right? So that, or live streaming or whatever. That's just one example. That example also applies to certain peripherals like keyboards and mice. Obviously there's certain like online multiplayer games that have, you know, the anti-cheat crap that you're not going to be able to play. So that's going to be a problem too, right? With that being said though, I will say this. If Linux ever figures out a way to fix that kernel level anti-cheat problem, I do think Linux will take over for gaming. Like, real talk, 1000%. If Linux ever figures out a way to get rid of that kernel level anti-cheat problem, it's game over. They're gonna freaking steamroll Windows. Yeah, you'd be surprised how many people are on PC who have no idea what they're talking about. Absolutely. Top of comment string. Yep. I think AMD does so good at their processors that kind of lackluster on GPUs. Don't get me wrong. I still love the 9070 XT, 5080, and I like it better. I also have a 5080 and I like it better. I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, there's always room for improvement, right? Look, man, I mean, if we're going to call a spade, right? If you walk into the store and a 9070 XT, I'm just going to make up numbers. 9070 XT is $500. 5070 Ti is $500. Most people are going to go with 5070 Ti. I mean, it's just at the end of the day. Benefits of going with AMD in that case. Better Linux support, absolutely. And supporting the underdog, there's that. You just don't want to support NVIDIA, there's that. But outside of those couple of reasons, the 5070 Ti in that case, it's going to have, you know, FSR access like AMD does, but it also has DLSS access, which AMD doesn't. It's going to have better ray tracing. It's going to have frame generation, which AMD does, but it's also going to have multi-frame generation. And then it's going to have access to dynamic multi-frame generation. Now, a lot of you don't give a flying crap about any of that. And in that case, then okay, that doesn't matter. But some people would say, well, I'd rather have it and not need it than need it and not have it, right? So, yeah, there's definitely room for improvement with AMD. But that doesn't mean that what we have with AMD is total trash or garbage or whatever, because it's not. And I see comments like that all the time, and I'm like, no, just because you don't like it or just because you don't prefer it, it doesn't mean it's garbage. Those are two different things, right? That's not a Linux problem. I'm catching your comment. I'm going to assume you're... So, okay. I'm going to be real, at the risk of upsetting people and maybe losing some Linux subscribers or whatever off that one Linux video I made. Here's what I'm going to say. Every time, it's not just me. It could be me. It could be another tech YouTuber. But every time someone says, well, I don't want to go to Linux because I can't do X. Inevitably, a Linux user will always say, that's not a Linux problem. You should find another software. You should find another mouse, another keyboard, another audio interface. You should just not play that game. You should find another game. You should dual boot. You should do this. And they put everything on the user. And then it's like, oh, okay, so because you want me to use Linux and because you want the market share to grow for Linux, you want me to jump through all these hoops. And it's like, that's just not how it works, man. And it may not be Linux's fault that certain things don't work. We can put that onus on the developers all day long. But as a platform or as an as the kernel or whatever, it is Linux's problem to solve if Linux wants to see bigger market share. Now, if Linux doesn't care about the market share, then fine. It doesn't matter. Everything's a moot point at that point, right? But I mean, that's just my 2 cents, right? Because actually watched the video. I wish I could remember the guy's name. But I found a guy. He's primarily a Linux YouTuber. Like all he does is Linux, right? And he made a video talking about the biggest problems, like the top 5 biggest problems with Linux. And what I just told you was one of the things that he listed in the video. Was just that every time somebody new comes to the Linux community, they feel like that a lot of times some of the Linux users can be a bit snobbish because it's like, oh, well, you should know how to do this or that. And it's like, no, I'm brand new to this. So, cut me some slack. But anyway, I digress. Not looking to argue over Linux. If you prefer Linux, you use it. That's great. That's fantastic. And I'm not saying I'm actually planning to build a Linux machine because I got to thinking, I'm like, okay, well, with a 9070 XT, what's next, right? I've done the challenge. I've done multiple streams with it. I'm still doing a stream with it. I got other things I need to move on to. I got other PC builds I need to do. I got other GPUs to talk about. I got CPUs and motherboards to talk about. So what am I going to do with the 9070 XT? Am I just going to put it on the shelf back there and collect dust? The answer is no. So I'm building an app for the community. And one of the big questions I got is, hey, is this going to be compatible with Linux? And the answer is yes. Yes, it's going to be compatible with Linux, but I need to get a Linux machine built first so that I can put the app on there and test it myself before I roll it out to everybody. Because I don't want to be like, hey, here's the app officially, and I've never looked at it on Linux and just trust that it works, right? So I need to actually build a Linux machine and actually run my app on there, daily drive it, test it for a little bit, run it through the ringer, and then say, hey, I feel confident releasing this and saying it's compatible with Linux. Let's see. 5070 desktop PCI is discontinued. Is it? With regards to the 800 series motherboards, when the 9850X3D came out, they screwed up the voltage regulation of their boards, as the Bauer found out, but the latest BIOS has fixed it. Thank you for that information. That's a good point. I got my 7900 XT for $600 over a year ago. That was my selling point. It's a good deal. It's a good deal. I don't even use Linux, but the phrasing there isn't exactly capturing the dynamic. What phrasing would you use then? I'm with you on that, bro. If you just resolve the problem, Linux will kill Windows. Absolutely. There's a lot of background work, making and cheat work on Linux. It may be fixed by the Steam machine. Who knows? And that's the thing. Like, I'm super pumped for the Steam machine. Like, I did a video on the Steam machine. Unfortunately, that's one of those things where the algorithm didn't push it. Nobody watched it. Nobody cared. Despite everybody around me making Steam machine videos, even people who never talk about Valve or Steam or Linux or anything, they all made videos and got tons of views. I make a video giving my opinion. Nobody watched it. But I'm legitimately excited for the Steam machine. Well, I'll be honest. I was much more excited for it before Xbox announced that they're basically doing the same thing. And I was much more excited for it before the RAM prices got out of control. But prior to all that stuff, I was super excited for it. I was super excited for the Steam machine because it has tremendous amounts of potential. And something like the Steam machine could make the market better for Linux gaming for the average user. Because if more people start to buy it, the market share goes up, developers and developers see that, and then they say, hey, Linux is no longer just a small little blip on the map. It's actually growing. Let's invest more resources in there and make more things compatible. So I'm all for it, and I love the idea of what Steam Machine can do. Let's see. I think AMD has no chances in the current market because they can't invent anything on their own anymore. That kind of goes to what I was talking about, right? In my video when I was like, what I think what's holding AMD back. Exclusivity is very much anti-consumer, and I understand that. But unfortunately, in the world of business, you do need that proprietary thing. You do need that feature, that killer feature that's going to bring you over there, right? When the Xbox first launched, Halo brought people to the Xbox, right? And then, with PlayStation, you got God of War, right? So Nintendo, you got Mario, right? Like, you got to have those things that draw people to your system, because if you don't have it, then they're just like, that's just something else I got to spend money on, right? So anyway, Let's see. I got mine for $620. Nice. I'm not a Linux user. Clear. I hear you. AMD sold RDNA 4. That's a lot. Okay. That's a lot. The issue just got nuanced in a way that historically has allowed the bozo devs to skate with. Gotcha. I use Arch, by the way. Nice. If you want to use Linux, your best option is to dual boot. It's a pain, but it is what it is. It's better to have a backup OS than not to. I hear you. That's fair. That's totally fair. I still kind of would watch a Atlas review or something. Okay. Windows will never die because the average consumer don't even know what Linux is. I mean, that's very true, right? And I mean, we're not necessarily trying to say we're going to kill Linux. We're not trying to say Windows is going to die or we're going to push Windows down to 0% market share. But I mean, when you look at the market share of Linux versus Windows, it's a night and day difference. It's completely lopsided, right? And the people who are a little bit more techie and more involved, they tend to be on the gaming side of things, right? Tend to be. And so what I'm saying is like, if you can fix like the kernel level anti-cheat, then at that point, all bets are off and every gamer would pretty much have every reason in the world to consider Linux at that point. Right now, though, there's so many games that top streamers play that are not compatible with Linux. So even if they want to use it, they can't. So because they're like, well, I got to stream my game, right? Or they're just not willing to go through the dual booting process, right? Anyway, like I said, I'm not trying to debate Linux and stuff. Windows versus Linux comes down to ease of use. If it just does it for you, then that's who wins. That's true. I'm not a fan of dual boot. You don't learn a language on vacation, move there, or daily drive it. That's a fair point. Linux can't replace Windows even with the Steam OS because you're actually running Windows games with Proton. Well, like I said, no one's saying that Linux would completely destroy the market share of Windows. It's more of a gamer thing. Like I think more gamers would switch over at that point. Personally. All right, let me see. What else? Let's see. Yeah, same. I had so much hope in the Steam machine, all ruined by OpenAI. I know, man. I mean, maybe they'll still pull something out. Who knows? We'll see. All right, let's see. Pull up my. Let's see. Anyway, let's see what else can we talk about. So let's see. One other comment I saw, it was only one person, but it stood out to me, and I wanted to get your opinion on this. It says, he said, we know FSR Diamond won't support 9000 series GPUs. And my question is, do we know that? Like, I haven't overly looked into it. So you guys tell me, do we know that FSR Diamond absolutely will not support 9000 series GPUs? Or is that just what we're assuming at this point? AMD. Yeah, that's a lot. So about 17% share desktop. That's a lot. That's a lot, Mike. That's a lot. Hey, Mike, I got a question for you, man. So when you're sending me these like emails and stuff, and you're like complaining about other tech tubers, and you're like, get on me, Rock, or whatever. Do the other tech tubers ever respond to that? I'm just curious. Like, have you ever gotten a response from like anybody ever? I'm just curious on that. AMD not supporting older GPUs is a huge problem. I agree. They need to support them. How AMD is acting lately, I wouldn't doubt they lock Diamond to RDNA 5. Yeah, that very well could be a thing. Very well could be a thing. So my yeah, it could be a thing. Yeah, I'm very curious what AMD's next plan of attack will be, but right now, I mean, everything's kind of delayed for a while, right? Because of all the AI crap going on, you know, the 6000 series GPUs got delayed. So, you know, AMD is going to take that sweet time and not release anything if they don't have to. If they're happy with where they are in the market currently with the 9000 series cards, then they'll probably just wait till NVIDIA launches the 6000 series cards before they announce anything new. That's more than likely what's going to happen. They blacklist at the top of the tech tube stack. I got you. Not at the mid or bottom. All right, gotcha. Thankfully, we have the optiscaler for RDNA 3 and older GPUs. I can use FSR4 due to it. Thank you, modders. Dude, that was one thing whenever I switched over to PC gaming. That was one thing that I was looking forward to the most, and I really appreciated about PC gaming, is that modders take care of so much stuff that developers won't take care of, right? And it might be due to a lack of care on the developers. It might be due to a lack of resources and funding, lack of time, whatever that may be. But yeah, dude, the fact that, yeah, I mean, modders have fixed so many issues. They shadow ban, yep. There's a rumor Sony has their hands in the blocking of FSR4 for older GPUs, but that doesn't make much sense either. I haven't heard that rumor, and I'm not really sure what Sony would gain from that. I'm honestly surprised that AMD GPUs are as good as they are. They obviously put all their effort into the CPUs. Yeah, they make some great CPUs for sure. If you want to address a real problem in PC gaming, the biggest problem is removing features. Drive bays for RGB fans, PCIe slots for NVMe slots. You're running a mobile platform now, not a PC. There's a lot of truth in that. I would also say too, though, it also kind of comes down to the changing of technology, right? Because back, okay, look at it now, right? Motherboards are getting more NVMEs than ever before. I mean, I reviewed an Intel motherboard last year that had 7 NVMe SSD slots on it. So and if you think about it, right, it's like, okay, maybe back in the day you would have a bunch of drive bays with a bunch of hard drives there. And now you're just kind of changing that to just physically putting them on the board itself. So, I mean, that's one way of looking at it. But if you're into having drive bays, I do agree that there is a significant less amount of cases to choose from that support that type of stuff. Went and got my other computer with a 5800 XT and 7900 XT and 64 gigabyte DDR4. Nice. Diamond is expected to be exclusively locked to RDNA 5 UDNA architecture GPUs. That's unfortunate. If you want to address, yeah, we talked about that. I often wonder what would have if AMD wouldn't have bought ATI and ATI just kept making cards. I think they would be awesome. Maybe. Rumor says FSR4 and 8 only exists because Sony needs it for PlayStation. Again, one of those things I don't know if it's true or not, but let's be grateful that it does exist, right? I love my 5800X, low power, large cache, 6950X. Nice. My problem is I only have a 2 terabyte NVMe in this, and I have a lot of games. Yeah, unfortunately, 2 terabytes is just not enough anymore. I got right around 10 terabytes of storage on my current PC. All NVMe. Think the Sony rumor stems from Mark Cerny, PlayStation architect, tweeting how PSR co-developed. Okay, gotcha. All right, let's see what else. Let's see what else. So the other comments that I saw quite a bit on my previous video was, you should have played X game, or you didn't play the games long enough. And so my quick response to all of that is, I announced the challenge back in January, and I went live multiple times asking people to let me know what games they wanted me to test. And the games that I saw, I tested. Even the Assetto racing game, I did not own that. I went out and spent money on that just so I could test it. And that's not a game I have any interest in playing. So I spent money out of my pocket just to test that game. So when people are like, you should have tested this, I'm like, well, I'm only one guy. I don't have a team. I do everything myself. So I'm limited on time and resources and how much money I can just go blow on all these games to test, right? And really, I'm convinced at this point, I do think in most situations, when a game's not launching and you have an AMD GPU, it's likely not due to the GPU. It's likely due to some other variable on the system. A prime example is somebody was complaining about Assassin's Creed 1 not launching on AMD architecture. I tried it. Yeah, I confirmed it doesn't work. But you know what else it doesn't work on? It also doesn't work on like NVIDIA 50 series either. So like, I think you have to go change like a config file or something like that to get it up and running. I didn't spend much time into it, but a quick Google search led me to a subreddit where everybody was complaining about it not working on both NVIDIA and AMD cards. That's more of a game a game specific problem and less of a I have an AMD GPU problem. Yeah. So anyway, that's something I've come to realize a lot. I miss the early 2000s when I ran 2 video cards at the same time. How awesome was that? Yeah, Crossfire and SLI, man. I miss those days too. I have about 200 terabytes of space. Tracy, that's crazy, dude. I bought the 9070 XT and I'm having AMD driver timeout. It really is Windows or it's AMD. Is this more frequent with AMD than NVIDIA? So let me ask you this. When you say you're getting a driver timeout issue, like have you Googled the exact message and seen what popped up? Because yeah, I mean, it could be a Windows issue and the driver is just catching it. I got a guy in my community who is an AMD employee. And we spoke one time and he told me, he's like, one of the reasons why that a lot of people think that AMD has a lot of driver problems is because AMD builds their drivers in a way to catch Windows failures or something like that. Like, I am butchering the statement, but that's like the essence of what he was saying. So basically it could be a Windows problem, but it shows up as a driver issue. And I told him, I said, well, that's stupid. You're making yourself look dumb. Like, why does your company do that? And he's like, I don't know. It's like, so I'm like, NVIDIA doesn't do that. Like, if it's a Windows problem, make it a Windows problem, right? Don't catch it or whatever. So that could be what's happening. You could be having like a Windows related issue and the driver's catching it or something like that. Windows. Driver timeout can be caused by any number of reasons. RAM being pretty likely to try and reset them. And yeah, absolutely. Totally possible. Absolutely. I knew a mate that got it because of a webcam, for instance, does not necessarily have anything to do with AMD. Yeah. And I mean, yeah, absolutely. And I mean, you also have those situations too with PCs where it's just like, I have a PC, it's working totally fine, but there's nothing wrong with it. I'm just ready for an upgrade. And then you decide to go and you start changing stuff, right? Maybe you upgrade the RAM, maybe you upgrade the CPU, maybe you upgrade the GPU, whatever. And maybe you did multiple upgrades at once. And now you're having problems because something's not configured properly, or you didn't do a fresh install, or whatever the situation may be. And so it's easy to be like, oh man, it's my GPU. It's got to be my GPU, right? That's totally possible. I fixed my timeouts by underclocking my GPU and the AMD software. It stopped. That's fantastic. That's a good tip. Thank you for sharing that. And rebooting. There's no games that don't work with AMD. It's buggy old game problem or system instability. Yeah, and I mean that's been my experience too. That's what I've noticed as well. I set mine to A and hex, which is 10. Okay. It doesn't show the ID on Windows. Okay, cool. Yeah, this is great. You guys helping each other figure this out. From my experience, most of the stutters and frame time issues is not Windows, it's rebar. So the abandoned technology that no game dev supports. And I can totally see that. I barely see anybody talk about it anymore, but it is on by default. So like I get a lot of Asus motherboards, right? And every time I set up the motherboards and I go through the BIOS by default, every single time, whether it's AMD or NVIDIA, it doesn't matter. Rebar is on by default. I spent most of my time on chats and surfing the web. I run 3 monitors. I don't know. I love Intel because they just handle everything. That new Intel CPU is looking pretty good, man. I think it drops, what, tomorrow, right? So, yeah, absolutely. Let's see. So we talked about that. Oh, dude. Okay, so here's the last one, right? So, obviously people complain about the cyberpunk stuff. I don't need to talk about that because I did a full video talking about that and everybody was very appreciative of it. Okay, minimal driver, right? So, let me see. E-Rock on Tech, I just want to post this here for everyone. If you disable HDCP support, it makes your games run better. Less stutter. Be careful. You won't be able to watch things with DRM. Interesting. Very interesting. I need to test that. I was getting driver timeouts about once a day. But there were also other driver updates. Gotcha. What happens to the last... Okay. All right. So the last thing I want to talk about is that minimal driver, right? So all the times in the past whenever I used AMD, I always just did the standard factory reset option and installed the full-blown Adrenaline software. And after I had a couple of issues where it was like restart, and I had one guy write me a very, very long email. I didn't respond to it, but this guy wrote a very long email, and at the very bottom he wrote like doctor whatever. And it was just a whole email just basically tearing me apart and telling me how I got everything wrong and all this different stuff. Lots of bad information, blah, blah, blah. Okay, all right. You take this stuff way too seriously, man. If like you feel the need to take time out of your day to write a really long email to a stranger online because he installed a driver differently than how you would have installed it, I think you got bigger problems personally. But anyway, so not trying to insult anybody, but that's just how it is. Like you think I got time to read and respond to all that and get into an email war over how you install a driver? Anyway, long story short, him and a couple of the people did not like how I recommended the minimal driver. That's unnecessary. It makes your system more robust, blah, blah, blah. Well, you're missing key features. Well, okay, you're only missing key features if you care to miss those features, right? If you don't care to miss those features, then you're not missing those features, right? It's called minimal for a reason because that means it's less bloat or less stuff on your system. Whether if you want to refer to it as bloat or not, it's a smaller package. And if you don't need it, then it's just a lighter option on your system, which I think is a good thing personally. And once I installed it, I didn't have any issues. But the biggest issue why a lot of people had a problem with me recommending the minimal driver is because it took away all the GPU overclocking features. And my thing is, I prefer MSI Afterburner anyway. I use MSI Afterburner as my go-to standard default GPU tool. If I want to do anything with my GPU, I'm using MSI Afterburner. If I want to see an on-screen metrics, MSI Afterburner. It gives you a lot more custom options. You can customize it to make it look any way you want. Whereas Adrenaline software is going to be a standard template. You can change a couple of things, but that's about it. With MSI Afterburner, you can track what you want. You can name it what you want. You can color it however you want. So I prefer to use MSI Afterburner. So for me, when people are like, why would you recommend the minimal driver? It takes away overclocking features. I'm like, I'm not trying to overclock it, first of all. And secondly, if I do overclock it, I'm going to use the MSI Afterburner tool. So that's not really a problem for me. And also the card that I'm using, which I've already explained in the video, is the Prime OC from Asus. Prime OC overclock. It comes out of the box with a factory overclock on it. And under the right conditions in certain games, whenever it's cold enough, it will naturally boost above 3 gigahertz without me touching it. So anyway, that's my 2 cents on all that. All right, we're going to start getting ready to wrap this up here. I've been going for a while. My voice is starting to get hoarse. Man, we're still rocking at 49 concurrent viewers. At one point, I think we peaked at, what, 71, 72? Somebody keep me honest in the chat. Thank you guys so much. Y'all are freaking awesome. I got through the whole stream without somebody bringing up the one issue I thought somebody might have brought up. But that's cool with me. All right, looks like the chat is starting to slow down. Thank you guys so much for all the support. Let me do this one other thing real quick. Let's see. I like MSI Afterburner too. People don't realize how much you can overclock the 5080. It's insane. They left a lot of room. Yeah, dude, they left a lot of headroom on most of the 50 series cards. The 5070 Ti is an overclocking beast, dude. 5080 has a lot of overclocking headroom as well. Very true. MSI Afterburner has been long reported to cause stuttering by pulling sensor data. Yeah, but MSI Afterburner is still the #1 most commonly used tool with on-screen metrics. Daniel Owen uses it. Hardware and Box uses it at the end of all of their review videos, whether it's CPU or GPU. I use it. Tons of other tech YouTubers use it. And also, by the way, pretty much any tool that tracks metrics like that is going to have polling. And anytime you're polling, you're adding resources to the system. There's no way around that. There's no way around that. I generally liked your videos. I don't know why people get so worked up over them. Everybody's different, man. Everybody's different, you know? I mean, there are certain creators I don't watch because I don't like the way that they do stuff, or I don't like what they stand for or whatever, but everybody has their own opinion. And that's what's so beautiful about YouTube. YouTube. Keep the you in YouTube, right? Find your people, find your audience. Some people can appreciate multiple creators. Some people are like, I like you, but I don't like you. It just all kind of depends, man. We have spoken a lot about Adrenaline today. What's your take on what you know about Intel software, not the driver, but the software and NVIDIA new control panel. Intel, I don't really have much experience with it. Actually, I don't have hardly any experience. Well, okay, I did. My buddy brought over an A770, and I played around with it. What little bit I played with the Intel software, I thought it was decent looking. It was pretty. I'll give it that, and it had all the basic features, but it was buggy. It was buggy. There was a couple of situations where I'm like, I clicked something and it didn't work, and I had to close it and start it. So like Intel's still got to work that out. NVIDIA, the new NVIDIA app, I think is okay. When NVIDIA first launched their NVIDIA app, I definitely missed the GeForce experience. Now that it's been so long and they've been able to roll out more updates, I like the NVIDIA app a lot. I think they kind of got the message, hey, everybody prefers AMD software. There's a lot more you can do with it. We need to roll something out like that. Enter the NVIDIA app, and now the NVIDIA app is a lot better than it was at launch, and I would even say now it's better than GeForce experience. Sorry to bounce. Got to figure out how to repaste the PS4 for the Y. All right. Best of luck with that. Blackbird, PC Tech, and many other YouTubers have tested rebar, and it's 100% abandoned technology, at least by AMD and NVIDIA, and turning it off fix all your issues with games. I will definitely give that a shot. This is my audit tonight, but I take no names but pay close attention to all the commentary. FTC monitor mic. All right. Yeah. So there's that. Tracy, you still here, man? E-Rock and Tet. Let's see. Michael, let's see. If you are configuring your 7000, 9000 series AMD CPU and configuring your RAM, if the system hangs or black screens, it is a CPU problem. If you get a blue screen of death, then it is RAM. Okay. If you are configuring your 7000 CPU and configuring your RAM, I mean, that's fine, but my recommendation would be don't ever configure multiple things at the same time because it makes it harder to troubleshoot. So like if I'm going to tune my CPU, I'm only touching my CPU. I'm not touching my RAM. And then if I'm going to touch my RAM, I'll touch it separately after I confirm the CPU is okay. Same thing with the GPU. That's me personally. Well, I thought it would go down a little. Let's see. Before people repaste any GPU, they should make sure they're not replacing a thermal pad that doesn't need replacing. And I'll add to that, make sure you're not ripping the thermal pads whenever you start taking things apart, like taking off your GPU. Be careful with those thermal pads because if you're not careful, they will tear apart and then you have to replace it. RAM and a RAM plus board plus CPU bundle, AMD and Intel are full speed ahead, arranging RAM procurements to pull their CPU overage through primarily Raptors and cool. Step by little step, agreed. Let's see. If you are what's up? Yep. Cool. Oh man, we've been going for a while. I cannot believe how successful this stream was. This was like the most successful stream I've ever had. This is crazy. RAM in my country is like $500, dude. Like I saw a kit earlier today that's like, so right now video cards ran a article today. Video cards ran an article today saying that if you buy a RAM kit, which is a basic RAM kit, you get an Intel 285K for free with it. Not if you buy the CPU, you get the RAM kit free. It's if you buy the RAM kit, you get the CPU for free. But the bundle itself was like $850. So, yep. Anywho, let's see what else we got here. i9 Core Ultra on my new PC. I love it. That's fantastic. I'm happy you love it. I've been using MSI Afterburner for more than a decade. I've pretty much been using it not exclusively, but I've been using it mostly ever since I've been in the tech game as well. It's what you know, it's what works, and it still offers the biggest level of customization out there. NVIDIA's overlay panel, super basic, not a lot of customization options. Same thing with AMD, same thing with Intel. I mean, it gets the job done, you know what I'm saying? But it's like MSI Afterburner allows you to tweak and tune things. So Sub, everyone. Ring that YouTube bell. I appreciate it. Yeah, if you're here and you haven't hit the like button on the video, please hit the like button on the stream. It helps it to reach more people. I didn't realize this, but the streams continue to get views even after I'm offline. That's pretty crazy, so definitely do that. If you're new and you're not subscribed, please consider doing it. I'm trying to grow the channel. My dream is to one day hit 100K subs, not because I can go full time with that, because apparently you can't anymore, but it's just be cool to get the plaque and say I did it, you know? That would be really cool. That would mean a lot to me. I have extra RAM from upgrading a 64 gigabyte DDR5 5600. Nice. Yeah, keep it just in case. Absolutely. AMD is great at 1080p gaming, and that's about it. Intel, everything else. I think they're both good, man. I think they're both good. I do think Intel dropped the ball with the 285K. It was a performance regression when compared to the 14 series, but also understand that they had to start a new platform and try to rework some things. The new 270K Plus, I don't like their names, by the way. The name's too confusing. Like, the 270K Plus is now a lower number than the 285K, but it's faster than the 285K on average. And it's newer. So that's a little confusing. But with that being said, 285K, or sorry, the 270K Plus is very promising. I do like it. I do like the idea of it. I may pick one up. I may go buy one. May do an Intel build. Why not? May do that. Maybe we'll do it on the channel. That's what we need to do. We need to build a PC live. That's what we need to do. We need to do a live stream where I build a PC. Turn on some more lights in here. I don't know how I'm going to talk to you, though, because I don't have a wireless mic. Well, I had one, but it sounds awful. And this is a dynamic mic, so you got to be like up on it. Intel F me with the 13th gen, so I jumped to AMD. I don't regret it. What did they do? Did you have CPU degradation issues? Did it die and they didn't want to honor the warranty? Is that what happened? AMD is better at 1440p gaming than Intel. Guys, it just depends on the chips you're comparing. I just bought an RTX 5080 Astral, and I'm building my rig step by step. What is your recommendation on the next part of the rig? Depends on what part you're on. You didn't tell me what part you're on. Here's the way I build my PCs. Start with the motherboard, install the CPU, install your NVMe drives, install your RAM, and then before you put anything in the case, make sure all of your case fans are already in there. And then you can install the cooler inside or outside. If you have an air cooler, definitely install it outside the case. If you have an AIO, it can go either way. You can install it outside. You can install it inside the case. It just depends on what's easier. A lot of times I found it easier to install the AIO outside the case, like put the block on and then put the motherboard inside, bolt it down, and then put the AIO up top or wherever you're going to put it. And then the GPU is the very last thing you always do. And then after the GPU is installed, then you plug everything in. That's it. Also, 5080 Astral, I got like a 40-something minute video on it, so check it out if you haven't seen it. Love, it's a good card, man. It's beautiful, it's gorgeous. I hate the 16 gig limit. I wish it had 20 gigs on it, but outside of that, it's a good card. I also don't like how it's not faster than the previous gen's flagship, which is the 4090. I think that's pretty dumb, but Nvidia will Nvidia, am I right? 285K will still be the 270 real computer stuff. I don't know. I was looking at some of the benchmarks, and it looked like the 270K Plus was beating it or matching it in productivity stuff as well. I tested ray regeneration in Black Ops 7, but can't see any difference. I believe it. I believe that. That microcode. Yeah, I had that issue too. I wish there was a micro center here in Alaska. At least Newegg also has good board and RAM bundles. Dude, I live in the state of Georgia. I was in Micro Center the other day. We got 2 Micro Centers here. And I was talking to one of the employees and I said, you know, I think about leaving Georgia all the time. Like, I'm born and raised here. I want to get some land. I want to build a house on the land. I want to put up a gate and just, you know, be like, leave me alone, get away from my land type of deal. But that's just, when you get older, you get a little like that. But then I'm like, okay, well, here in Georgia, unless I go out to like the boonies, there's just not really that as an opportunity. Then I thought about looking at like Tennessee and stuff. But then I'm like, man, I love my church. Don't want to leave my church. And then I love having a micro center 20 minutes from my house. And then if I need another micro center, there's another one an hour from my house. I'm super blessed about that. And I wish there was a micro center in all 50 states, man. There needs to be. Let's see what else we got. The one thing that annoys me about losing PCIe slots is that I want to install an NVIDIA card with AMD to run physics, except I don't have a spare slot. Yeah, that can be annoying. That's super stupid. It's also stupid that they got rid of physics, although they're supposed to be bringing it back, and I don't know when or if that's been implemented yet. Case, PSU, fans, motherboard, CPU. Yep. I'm so sorry. I forgot to check before I sent Intel. Was like, okay, let's beat AMD or them at 1080p gaming. It's very hard. Okay. I mean, I'm buying parts one after another. I bought the GPU. Oh, I bought the GPU first. Next, what should I buy? Next, you need to decide on your platform, man. Are you going Intel or AMD? And then if you're going to go, then once you find your CPU, well, once you decide on your platform, you got to decide which CPU you're going to buy and then find the motherboard to go with it and then find RAM. RAM's going to be your hardest part right now. How long have you been into PCs? I've been using them since DOS days as a kid. Oh, man. Well, you got more time on it than I do. When I was growing up, we were poor. I was dirt poor when I grew up. We were on welfare. There was times I was homeless. I was sleeping in a car. I didn't even have consoles. Like the consoles I had, I was at my friend's house. I'd have to go play with my friend. So I didn't really have PCs or anything growing up. And then I became a ward of the state. My parents lost custody of me. My little brother and I went to live with my grandparents. And I finished out my school there. As soon as I was 18, I left, got out on my own, and really started getting into tech and stuff. My grandparents lived in the Stone Age, literally. They didn't have internet. They didn't have anything. I bought myself a Xbox 360 for Christmas one year and just played a bunch of games offline. And then I took it over to a friend's house and I started playing Halo 3 online, got addicted to that, moved out. My girlfriend and I got engaged, got our first apartment. We got married, been with her ever since. She's my wife now. We have a kid together and went to college, got a bachelor's in computer information systems with a concentration in database management. Graduated in 2012 from college, and I've been working in the tech industry ever since, building PCs ever since. So yeah. So I guess 2012 is like the long-winded answer to the short answer to all that. AMD. For a couple of years now, I'm hearing how AMD is better at games and judge the games 1080p when you into higher resolution. If anyone still plays DOS, check out ExoDOS. Okay, cool. PhysX support game back in late January for many games except for Arkham Asylum. That's blasphemy. Arkham Asylum, Arkham City are two of my favorite games of all time. I love them. Like, they're some of my favorite games of all time. I love them so much. PhysX needs to be back. That's horrible. I can't imagine going through that. Glad you are doing better now. Oh, I appreciate it. No, I mean, I just like, I used to be briefly a motivational speaker. Like, I would go and I would share my story at like FCAs and stuff at school. And I would just let people know that, hey, you know, like, there's light at the end of the tunnel. You can do better. You can be better. You can rise above your challenges. But dude, it's not easy. I'm the first person in my entire lineage, not my core family, my lineage on both sides. I'm the first person to graduate high school. I still have people in my family today, like people older than me, that can barely read and write. Everybody in my family before me, most of them were high school dropouts. Some of them were even middle school dropouts. Both of my parents are felons. They've spent a few years in prison. So yeah, that's why I ended up becoming a ward of the state. My grandmother took custody over me and my brother. But, you know, I mean, I wanted to be better, so I graduated high school. I graduated high school with honors. I took all honors and advanced placement classes. I graduated with a 4.0, turned 18, got out on my own, got my first apartment, been working ever since, haven't looked back. Today, my wife and I own our second house now, and I work every day for a company as a software engineer. I'm blessed. I get to work remote. I don't know how much longer that will last, but I'm thankful for it every single day. We have a beautiful 7-year-old boy together. He's in Taekwondo and he'll be testing for his black belt in May. And I've always had a passion to create content. Even when I was a kid running around the neighborhood with my buddies, I didn't know a jack diddly squat about technology, man. And then I didn't know crap about technology. And my buddy came out one day with a camera and we just started filming stuff, and we thought it was funny and stupid. And then we would show, friends and family, and we would all laugh at it. And then this is actually my third YouTube channel. I've actually had 2 other YouTube channels. And, one of them, my old one, my main one, it just didn't work out because I just didn't know what I was doing. I wasn't consistent enough or anything like that. And then when it wasn't growing as fast as I wanted, I decided to just quit and just focus on real life stuff. And then I got the itch to create again. So then I partied up with a friend and we created something called Weekly Gamer Talk. It lasted for like 3 or 4 episodes. And then that's when I learned what creative differences was. Like, I used to always hear that, but never knew what it meant. I learned firsthand what that meant. I'm like, yeah, creative differences, right? So that didn't work out. And then I just stopped creating. And then I wanted to create, but didn't know what to do. And then when COVID hit and everybody's locked inside, I'm like, well, I can only work out so much. I can only play so many video games. I can only do my job so much. Now what do I do? And that's when I started the channel. It was initially called E-Rock on Deck. It was like a joke with friends and stuff. And then when I decided I'm really going to focus on tech and PC and stuff, I changed it to E-Rock on Tech. And it's been like that ever since. And then people just call me E-Rock for short. So yeah, that's my story for those who might care. For a couple years now, AMD better. Let's see. You still rocking a 9070 XT? It is currently still installed. Yes. Not for much longer, but it is still currently installed. Yes, sir. Glad you're doing better. Thank you. Is there a huge difference between $500 boards and $700? No. Do not pay the extra $200 on a motherboard. Let me say that again, one more time. Do not pay $200 more on a motherboard. When you're at a $500 board, the $700 board is not worth it. Ask me how I know. It's not worth it, okay? It's not worth it. You're way better off taking that $200, saving and putting it towards a new CPU or more RAM or whatever. Just don't. Yeah. You still rock. Yeah. Congrats for that. Thank you for that. What are you going on about with a 1080p? Oh, that's not for me. That's for somebody else. That's awesome, brother. Thank you, man. Appreciate it. That's really good. Making your bloodline better. I'm trying to build generational wealth, man. Like I want my son to have kids one day. And then when they're like, hey, tell me about your dad, tell me about your mom. I just want them to have beautiful, wonderful, positive things to say, right? Physical retail. Okay. What's your thoughts on X6 multi-frame gen and DLSS 5? Okay, X6 multi-frame gen, I don't know. I haven't tested it. I don't care about the X6 multi-frame gen part by itself. I do like the dynamic part, though. I do like the idea of, okay, I'm in a part where I don't really need as much frame gen, so we're going to dial that down and make it as little as possible. And just get as close to native and raster as possible. I like that. Hey, we're struggling a little bit. We need a little bit more performance. Ramp it up on the fly. I do like that. I don't really care to make it 5X or 6X. I think 4X is probably plenty at this point, and they should work on perfecting that. But I do like the dynamic part. DLSS 5, I want to see gameplay. I want to see 2 things. I want to see gameplay. I don't want to see screenshots, and I don't want to see a second and a half of gameplay of a cutscene where Leon gets out of a car. That's not what I want to see. I want to see actual gameplay, and I want to see the performance hit on frame rate. Let's see. 5200 plus motherboards is where you should be at. Anything beyond that is overkill. I will say this: there are some motherboards that have been like $400 to $500 where they do have some really nice quality of life features. I reviewed the board; it was $500. Is the ROG Strix X870E-E gaming Wi-Fi. I can't remember what I titled it, like 13 USB ports or something like that. Anyway, that board, hands down, one of my favorite boards I've ever had. That board's amazing, man. And as a creator, having all those extra USBs is truly, truly worth it. But again, that's a quality of life thing, and you may not need that. And if you don't need that, then definitely save the money. All right, let's see. Plus $200 of shiny shields, RGB. Okay. You are living America dream, my friend. Praise the Lord Jesus. Count your blessings. Thank you, man. I appreciate that. If you want more FPS, throw on an upscaler or game on a lower res monitor. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, FrameGen is really one of the, I almost never use FrameGen. If I do use it, it's for two primary reasons. The first primary reason is because I'm curious and I'm testing it, and I might include some of the results in the video. Outside of that, it's like if I'm playing a game, mostly Unreal Engine 5 games that are not properly optimized and it's just running really, really bad, and I'm trying to get that frame time graph to stabilize just a little bit, then I will turn on FrameGen. I usually just try to keep it at FrameGen and not go above not go to multi. And then that really smooths it out just so I can have a playable experience. And in a lot of those cases, that's because I'm playing with a friend, and that's what we've decided as a group to play. But if I'm playing by myself, then I'm like, I'm just not going to play this game. If the developers are not going to take the time to properly optimize it, I'm just not going to play it. That's usually what I opt for. Let's see. Okay. If you're... Okay. I got the Asus ROG Strix Z890E. I paid like $3. I love it. I think it's well worth it at the price. So many more hookups like I could afford. But yeah, it's a good board. I think I reviewed that board, right? It's an Intel board. I'm pretty sure I reviewed that on the channel. It's a good board. That's the one with the 7 NVMe's, right? Asus is the only board that adds usable extras, especially for overclocking, but the price is still not worth it. What's your thoughts on the Asus Strix A670E board? I just kind of said it. I did a full review on it. I got a full review on that board. If you literally go to YouTube and just type in X870E-E review E-Rock, I'll pop up. I love that board. That board's a fantastic board. I did a full review on it. I highly recommend it. Yes, I've used it as a daily driver. It's an awesome board. Perhaps another point to the AMD versus NVIDIA argument about the 970 XT. NVIDIA doesn't play nice with Linux, while AMD works. Yes, very true. Absolutely. Definitely. We had a lot of Linux conversations earlier. I know this is random, but is the RTX 4090 still a good graphics card to run present games? Yes, it is. I want to keep my PC for a long time. Yes, 4090 is still a beast. My buddy Danny Z Reviews did a full benchmark video today with the 4090 on Crimson Desert at a variety of settings, and you can see the 4090 eats that game alive up until you get into like ray regeneration or whatever, but or ray reconstruct, whatever the heck they're calling it. But yeah, check that out. That's why I wound up buying it, was from your review. Okay. I wanted a Hero, but then so I actually have the Hero right now installed, and I was supposed to do some content for Asus on it, and then the idea that I was working on, it just didn't come out the way I wanted it to. And then I just got busy with other stuff, and I still need to make some type of content with it, but I don't know what content to make that would be beneficial for people. Because if the answer is, hey, should I go out and buy this really expensive $700 board? The short answer to that is no, but what value is that really adding to most people? But I mean, aesthetically speaking, it's gorgeous. It's the most beautiful board I've ever had. So like if you're somebody that's like really big into aesthetics and you're trying to go for a PC build that's like, man, I just want this thing to bling. I really want it to look good. Like if that's you, and those people do exist, that may not be you, but those people do exist. If that's you, then the Hero board's by far like an easy recommendation because the board is absolutely freaking gorgeous. And the quality of it's good. I mean, it doesn't feel cheap. It's heavy. You can feel the weight of it as well. And I haven't had any issues with it. Like I've had literally no issues with my system using this board. All my RAM is booted fine. I've booted 8,000 MTs up on it. No problem. It's just, it eats it like a snack. It's like, all right, whatever. So it's a good board, man. It's just really expensive, and you can get the same benefits outside of the aesthetics for far less with, other Asus motherboards. Is DDR4 system always the wise choice for gaming these days? LGA 1700 to be specific, because X3D are hardly available. DDR4 is still really good. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and lie to you and pretend like it's as good as DDR5. It's not. DDR5 is miles ahead in terms of speed. But I mean, So another video I did on the channel that almost nobody watched. I built a all AMD PC with some 3D printable parts, and I think I put a 5800X in there with DDR4 memory, and it was for a buddy of mine and his wife. They're a little bit older, they don't know much about tech, and I benchmarked it on the channel. And it's a small form factor PC, and DDR4 is in it. It's running like a champ. It runs great. I talk to him regularly. Hey man, how's the PC going? He's like, oh, it's great. It's great. It's no issues, no issues. So I definitely, yeah, I mean, I still recommend DDR4. It's definitely still a good, viable alternative if you can't get DDR5. Thank you so much. Yep. I'm a boomer. Okay. All right. My PC is all black with no RGB. I just want my crap to work. Hey, that's fair. What's your thoughts on motherboards without flash BIOS buttons? Well, the short answer is I prefer to have a BIOS flash. I think it's a simple enough feature at this point. Everybody should just have it, point blank, period. And if that's not the case, then that's not, yeah. But I'd be lying to you, buddy, if I said I used it that much. I don't. But they are handy. I'd rather have it than not have it. And if I'm looking at a board and if I see that it doesn't have a BIOS flash button, more than likely I'm not buying that board. Like, unless I'm just looking to buy a cheap board because I'm on a tight budget, then more than likely I'm not buying that board. Last forever, so will my board, and they get so many more hookups. That's insane. Yeah. DDR4 is decent when you run at least 3600. Yep. My system. All right, cool. Well, this is by far like the most successful stream I've ever had. Looking at it over here, like we've generated a total of like 923 views and like unique viewers, which is crazy. Like on a stream, I never hit that. And then we peaked at like 71, 72 concurrent viewers, which is amazing. I'm going to call it there, guys. My voice is getting shot out, so I'm going to say goodnight, and I'm going to start working on the next video, next content piece for you guys, whatever that may be. I think I wanted to test out Meld Studio tonight. That did not work out. I just didn't have enough time to install it and stuff. Oh yeah, that was one of the things. That's the final comment we can talk about is under that last video, everybody kept saying you're wrong about Meld Studio. They added AMD hardware support. Here's my official statement to that is I will go download it. I will test it. We may do another stream testing Meld Studio. But with that being said, at the time when I needed it, Meld Studio did not support AMD encoding hardware or AMD hardware encoding. That's why I have the footage of it. That's why I was able to show the footage in my video, because I recorded it telling me that it was not supported. Once I discovered this is not going to be for me, then I uninstalled it. I moved on. I set up everything on OBS and I never looked back, right? Why would I look back? So I find it funny when people get all mad, like, you should know, but why would I know? Like, why am I going to go back and check every day? Do you have hardware encoding support? Do you have, no, like you already told me you didn't have it. So I moved on, right? Now, I'm glad they have added it for AMD, but now I need to test it because all it says is hardware encoder on or off. It doesn't even tell me what it's using. Are you actually accessing the AV1 encoding, or are we doing H.265? Like, what are we doing here? I just got a donation, $5 from Tony Hay Munkets. Had a great time. Thank you. Oh, thank you so much, man. I really appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you so much. That is so awesome and kind of you. I am so grateful for that. Thank you so much. I really do appreciate it. I don't buy boards without BIOS. No digital Q code. I get it. Can you make a comparison between ROG Strix A70E versus the Crosshair Hero? Sure. No problem. That shouldn't be a problem. I'm literally, you know what? I'm literally getting ready to redo my PC anyway, so I have to take the Hero out. Why not? Why not? If I don't make the video, you hold me accountable and you bug the hell out of me until I make that video. I will make that video for you. Okay? Thanks, all the nice meeting you. Yep, that's good. But yeah, I'll make that video for you. Thank you, man, so much for the donation. I really do appreciate that. Thank you, everybody, for the donations tonight. It really meant a lot. Thank you for all the new subs and views and everything. I'm going to get some sleep before I blow out my voice. And you guys all have a great night. Stay tuned because we're going to be pumping out a lot more content. We're going to be doing at least one live stream a week. I'm going to be making more AMD related videos and non-AMD videos. Now that the community is starting to show a bit of life again, that's pumping me up to make me want to make more content. So as long as you keep rocking with me, I'll keep rocking with you. We'll keep putting out some content. that app that I showcased last time, that's coming soon. The NXC dashboard. So stay tuned for that. You guys have a great night. Thank you so much. I really do appreciate you more than you know. Until next time, E-Rock out.